GQ. Check. Have you ever had a dream in the daytime? Had the same dream since the playground. If you made it come true, cause you stay down. Nigga, have you ever really thought about the limelight? In a room full of stars when you shine bright. I'ma make the right move when the time right. Alright. Nigga, have you ever had a dream during the daytime? Had the same dream since the playground. If you made it come true, cause you stay down. Nigga, have you ever really thought about the limelight? In the room full of stars when you shine bright. I'ma make the right move when the time right. Calculated every step, so I can't stand a hater out here hating on it. Niggas out here making moves, see a hand out the type of shit they waiting on.
I know y'all out there jamming and all that stuff, man. Can't help it. We got some talented people over here, man. Just some really good, talented, creative people. My last minute check on my audio and all my equipment and stuff. Some reason I got I don't know why I'm having sound issues, so I had to put the headset on, go old school for a quick minute. This is gonna be what I gotta do, man. I think I'm gonna have to upgrade to one of them apples. But man, I appreciate y'all joining me for this conversation, man. I'm actually super excited about it. I don't expect this to be, one of our biggest view shows, but I hope that like the people who are interested in it, I hope it actually impacts them, right? Like, I think this is a very important conversation. This is a little bit more on like the more of like the technical side of things and taking like a really deep look. When you're looking for the truth, I think, that should be like a natural progression. You might go a little bit further than people who are just looking for surface level information are going to wind up going. And, that's kind of what I did. I feel like I've kind of been on to something for quite a while. Haven't really had enough time to like really put it together. To be honest with you, I could still say there's a lot of work that I could do to put even more information on the screen for you guys. But I got a starting point, right? Without having to overload you with with terms and just unfamiliar psychological things. I think that this is a good starting point for us to be able to pick up a conversation and actually think or rethink about exactly what are we doing to ourselves when we come into some of these, hyper pro-black circles, and maybe even what effect it might be having on us, right? Maybe even like, some of the pros and cons of taking some of these extreme, I'm gonna call them extreme, I don't think that a lot of them don't have very much practical use. It's definitely not a conversation that you could go and have with a lot of your coworkers. Definitely not a conversation that you're gonna have at the bus stop for the most part. So on here, it's a good place to have these conversations. But out there in the real world, I think they have very little to no application whatsoever. So we're gonna start here, all right? Let's start with some of the things that I tried to some of the things that I tried to like lay out as far as a baseline of information for us to have down as we proceed into the rest of the conversation. Screen.
Occasional worrying is no problem, but when worry turns into rumination, there is a big problem. Rumination is persistent and repetitive worry in which you revisit the same information repeatedly without finding any new answers. Worrying can trigger the stressor by...
I gotta stop it right there. I gotta stop it right there before we go any further, just so I can pontificate. Thank you, Marcus. So I can pontificate, give my opinion on what was said and how prolific that was, right? Right? Are we coming into a lot of these hyper pro black conversations and coming away with real answers, right? Or are we just exacerbating the problem, right? Are we making the problem even more obvious and even more big than what it actually is, right? There's something to be said. You need to bring awareness to problems. That's like step one, right? And I think when you take that too far, right? When all you do is discuss the problems, I think you start to enter a dangerous territory, right? You enter a dangerous territory of making yourself look at this particular problem as so humongous and so big that you'll actually never be able to knock it down. I'm gonna let the video play.
Bringing up more and more negative possibilities without landing on any positive outcome. One negative thought leads to another, and you start feeling more and more stressed. Also, excessive worrying will start with one domain that you worry about, but sooner it triggers other domains of your life like a domino effect. This makes you feel that the worst is already happening. And sadly, our brains don't always distinguish between what is imagined and what is real. Rumination goes beyond trying to solve a problem or deal with a stressor.
Have you ever heard of the term rumination?
That's deep, man. That's deep. I mean, you've got this is a term that psychologists use. This is a professional term. This isn't something I made up. I mean, this is something I researched and found, and I'm bringing to you guys to add to the conversation, add to the perspective, to be able to ask yourself, right, a self-examination. That's the key to everything. Can we, does it stand up under the light of scrutiny, right? If I only focus on the problems of white supremacy, will I ever come up with solutions? I think it's a fair question. But if only thing I ever talk about are the problems, right? And I don't, have some kind of balance in there where I'm talking about the solutions just as much, I think I'm escalating the problems. I think I'm adding weight to the problems, right? Funny thing, Brad sent me a video this morning, right? It was Jay-Z talking. He was talking about motivation. And man, the whole time I just kept thinking to myself, man, this sounds familiar, right? Like this sounds like, one of those Kobe Bryant motivational speeches, right? This sounds like when you listen to Michael Jordan talk about basketball real deep, right? Like it is, especially his mental approach to it. Like, man, when I hear champions talk, like they carry this necessary arrogance, right? And there's a difference between this particular type of arrogance and what I would call irrational confidence, right? So when it comes to like Kobe and Jordan, they would basically become so prepared. So when the time came, like it just was like, I know you can't stop me. So now I just got to go play. Like at this point, all I got to do is show up because I'm so prepared. And that's kind of like the theme of what it is, right? So are we mentally preparing ourselves to meet these challenges? Not saying they're not out there. I'm not sitting up here saying that systemic racism is not a real thing. I'm not sitting up here saying discrimination is not a real thing that we have to deal with every single day, right? It's almost like like bad people in our neighborhood. That's something that we have to deal with every single day. Life has a lot of different challenges to it. And your approach to that mental situation is going to be what gets you through it, right? Are you having this healthy self-talk? Are you developing the skill of this healthy self-talk? Are you developing the skill of the mental confidence and stability is going to take to actually get you through these things? I'm gonna call them skills because it's something that you can mentally develop. You don't have to, people aren't necessarily, everybody's not necessarily born with charisma. Everybody's not necessarily born with certain types of confidence, right? Nobody, unless you have irrational confidence, just has confidence in everything. You might be really confident about playing basketball and, you get behind an 18-wheeler and now you have no confidence. I mean, that's normal, right? You shouldn't have confidence in something that you're not prepared for. So are we using these conversations to actually prepare us, or are we using these conversations to provide a shield, right? Are we using these conversations to help shield us from some of these realities and let us know that this confidence isn't necessary and it takes too much effort to build these kind of confidences and to get through this is some monumental task that is beyond us. It's impossible. It's impossible for us to affect legislature. It's impossible for us to go downtown and sit in a city council meeting and be able to make some changes. Is it impossible for us to make enough awareness outside of YouTube? I mean, YouTube isn't a place I would say bring your grievances to. Go down to City Hall, go talk to your local politicians. Make them aware of what your concerns are. Those are the people who need to hear them. I mean, here on YouTube, I think it's a little bit of a different story. But let's get back to the videos. Don't tell me I'm froze, yo.
You froze, yo.
Don't tell me. Can you see me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
I gotta restart hits. Hop in there for a second.
All right, I'm here.
Damn, I'm handsome.
Allegedly. What's up to everybody in the chat? Thanks for stopping in. Earl, Rush, China, Cuban, Chef. Who else we got in here? I think that's it for now. Brass is in and out. Brass is dealing with this weather.
Yeah, what up, though? We got a hurricane going on or whatever. I'm working on the.
Hey, look! Don't come in here with a bunch of
excuses,
problems.
right?
Yeah, you better come in here with some solutions about that hurricane.
Logic looks absolutely crazy right there.
Logic is going on a rampage.
It looked like
for
he
people
tried to
who don't
whisper
have
something.
solutions. Nah, I'm definitely kicking him while he's down, while his internet. No,
Yeah, let me get him out of here. He looks absolutely crazy. Hey, what's going on in your neck of the woods?
Let me look out the window. It's just dark. It's raining. I was just outside a little while ago. Just a little rain, little wind. Not too crazy. I think no, you said you getting hit, so that's headed this way. I was gonna say I think the worst is behind us, but so I'm sure Logic is going to give us some examples of, hopefully some people or groups specifically that would be helpful.
But now, what is he saying? So he's talking about what, rumination?
Yeah, I guess so. In line with harping on the problems, people always talking about the problems. I think that's where he kind of left off at, and he has some videos he wants to show about. Oh, he's back. We didn't say nothing bad about you at all.
All right, I'm working. I'm in the back chat.
Gotcha.
Yes, sir.
You all good, though?
No, I mean, and shout out to you too, Earl, man. I appreciate you coming through. All the comments are appreciated, believe it or not. I don't have any malintent. I actually have the best of intents, right? My goal is really clear. I want to see us succeed, Joe. Right. And even if that calls for us to like break through some barriers that we don't even know are there, right? That's like real success to me, right? Continuing to do the same thing that you're doing just because it's comfortable does not mean we are succeeding. Like that's real. We can get on YouTube and talk each other to death for another 10 years and watch the world like literally pass us by, man. Like literally just all around us become, I don't know, every time I think about it, it kind of like it does something to me, right? Like what is this going to do to the next wave of redlining? Just because our complaints are out there, we have no protection. I'm not even gonna get into it. What I'm gonna do is play my second video as soon as I get to it, because we got all of these, thanks to my business partner Hits here, who's done a great job of putting shorts together. We got a lot lined up, man, a lot. Okay, so let's get into the second video.
Now we
You know,
definitely over here working. We definitely over here working. So big shout out to y'all. Y'all been doing y'all
that's
own work.
why
That's what's up. You know, that's that ownership thing, right?
it's ours, man. It's ours. We got to do it. All right, here we go again.
Most familiar with. And strangely, internalizing is actually a subconscious attempt to escape painful feelings of sadness. If I'm incurably defective, then there's nothing I can do about it. It's almost comforting to wallow in self deprecation. This is using internalizing as a defense mechanism. Now, on the other hand, some people externalize these feelings. So instead of pointing their pain inward, they project it outward onto other people or situations. It can feel really comforting to blame others for your pain. So
I got to stop it right there. How many times, right, do we come into these circles and it's promoted to let's blame other people? Let's blame other people groups. Let's blame the system. Let's blame da 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 da. Whatever, whichever one you want, fill in the blanks. Not saying that they don't, play some role, but we can't control everything that they do. I mean, it almost is as simple as that. All we can do is focus on how can we start to obtain more power? How can we start to defend ourselves against some of these things? And you can't do it without economics and politics. It should be the number one conversation if you are truly concerned with results. Or if all you want to do is, get off your grievances. I hate to tell you, but the complaint box is full, yo. It's full. It's been full since before you started putting complaints in there. So at this point, yours just falling on the floor. You can't put no more in the box. I mean, we all know the system's not perfect. That's not difficult to see. You're not bringing me any awareness. You're certainly not bringing me solutions. Certainly not.
So they might say everyone else is a jerk, or people are so inconsiderate, or why bother? Why bother trying when the world is such a terrible place? Or they might
Why
say,
bother voting? They don't do nothing anyway, right? Well, why bother getting involved with the system? It's against us anyway. And all these are familiar talking points. This is how we discuss this at a quote unquote intellectual level. This is what we call intellectual conversations. These same talking points.
oh, it's just hopeless because nobody cares. So when depression shows up as anger or irritability, it's often because the person is grappling with these feelings of despair.
Feelings of despair, right? I mean, who wants to be face to face with despair? It sounds like something a normal human being would want to avoid.
But I also think, just to jump in, she mentioned depression. That's a clinical illness. So some of these cases are clinical and they're individual, and some of the cases are group and maybe not diagnosed as, it's hard to diagnose a whole group of people, but you can diagnose individuals. So
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I'm
Gotcha.
nothing close to a clinical psychiatrist. I'm not attempting to diagnose the whole group or anything with my professional opinion. I'm absolutely, again, thanks to Marcus, I'm pontificating. I'm taking these particular terms, I'm taking them and I'm applying to what we do here on the everyday level here in the conscious community. And I know you aren't as big of a part of it as I was at some point, Hits. But I'm very used to how these conversations go, right? I don't want to sit off here and rattle off names, but the average person, the average content creator, they are having conversations and they do sound like, woe is me. A lot of self-victimization, right? A lot of, the system is bad, so let's isolate ourselves. And they have large followings. They have large followings of people who want to be isolated with them, the people who want to give in to the idea of this is too much and I can't deal with it, so on and so forth. How do I get back?
is what happens.
Oops. I'm playing other people's content now.
Uh-oh, I thought you were going to show us some dance moves.
Oh, you saw that hip hop over there.
I seen him. He was up rocking.
Yeah,
he was burning. He was burning. I don't know who he was burning, but they was going to get it, man.
They was finna get that work right there.
They was getting that work out there in that video. They about to be
I bet you can't do this.
It was about to get hands and feet, especially feet put on.
Right.
Damn.
Boy. You ain't ready. You ain't ready.
So what, you got another video for us?
Yes, sir. I got one more video and then I'm gonna get into my presentation. Just wanted to lay out some groundworks. Yes, the lady is mentioning depression.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, rumination, I keep putting a Z in there, has something to do with depression. There's a correlation there, right? We're not necessarily talking about cause when we say correlation, but we are talking about a correlation there. There is a relationship between rumination and depression. And we're going to get into that. We're going to touch on it real briefly because I'm really hoping to hear some feedback about what I'm presenting from somebody, right? Whether it's just you, whether it's just Brass, hopefully there's enough participation in the audience. Somebody might want to come up and comment on it. We'll just comment on the chat and we can discuss it here on the screen with you guys. But I think this is really important, right? Somewhere in my mind, I see people who discuss this thing as a journey of self-love, right? And I would say if you're on some kind of journey for self-love or self-identification, do you currently have self-identification or self-love? If you're currently on a journey for self-love and self-identification, very interesting, right? And are you hinging this self-love and this self-identification on external factors? I mean, such as your history. Is that a part of your self-love? So what if that changes? What if they dig up something new tomorrow and all of a sudden the history is totally different? Do you no longer love yourself? Fragile ground we're trying to stand on. I feel like to some degree I've been right there, right? So I do have some level of empathy for the people who are dealing with it, but I think that there's also some level of just acknowledging that this is what's happening, or this is what the truth is, related to what the conversation is that maybe some people try to avoid, right? And I don't think that any of that stuff should be avoided. I think it all should be equally or at least available for the microscope. Can we examine all of it? Some great thinkers would say an unexamined life isn't worth living, right? Which means that if you're not constantly on the quest to see how you can become a better person every day, then you're doing something wrong. If you're trying to accomplish some goals, if you're not attempting to refine it and make it better, or maybe just examining some mistakes that you're making, I mean, how do you expect to seriously achieve something under those circumstances? You're almost, ineffectively planning, I guess. Here we go with my last video.
Depression colors your worldview. So depression impacts your perception. It alters how you see the world. People living with depression are more negatively biased in how they see the world. Small stressors feel much bigger, and big stressors feel overwhelming. Neutral comments might seem like personal attacks, or a small mistake you make might feel like the end of the world. So when this is overwhelming, they might be more likely to blow up in anger. And, people with depression, because of this negativity bias, people with depression may feel misunderstood or isolated, which is also really frustrating. There's a few more reasons why depression might mask itself as irritability or anger. So number 4 is suppressed feelings. For some people, anger can be a defensive response. It can serve as a shield. It keeps other people at a distance, and it protects you from feeling these perceived threats or hurt.
So this is natural, right? Without attempting to unwarrantedly address the depression part. this is normal for you to create mechanisms to attempt to protect yourself from these feelings. I think some of us, if not all of us, have some very, very strong feelings about systemic racism, right? About discrimination in our community. Right? I think that that's normal too, right? And we should be able to talk about those in a healthy way. So I might have got to my point faster than I wanted to, but it
I got some
brings up the
questions, but go
question:
ahead. Go ahead.
what
I might have a question.
is the healthy way? That's what we're trying to examine today. Go for it. What you got, Hits?
All right. Do you think, and I'll give my answer, right? I'll ask a question. I'll give my take on it.
Mm-hmm.
That technology, if we're going with the current time, if I look at the title, woke on Black YouTube, these are three separate things that I can see that would only, I think, be possible right now, currently, past decade or two, because I don't think the rumination, and I know we ain't going to speak too much about depression because we're not doctors or anything like that, but let's just use it in a sense, didn't just come about like early on. Let's just say early 20th century, early 1900s, right? You don't have probably the room to do a lot of not woke thinking, but woke action on we won't use YouTube, but just in general, because of the amount of work that has to be done prior to the Industrial Revolution, just to feed your family, to maintain living, clothes, the three: food, shelter, clothing, and not just for Black people, just people in general. That it's not that there wasn't time for it, but it was much more difficult, a little further back than it is now. Like, people can actually take time now and gain information now a lot quicker, can pick a side. There's time in the day now, in the week. Families are a lot smaller. There's a lot more avenues to achieve food, shelter, clothing. So do you think the time frame has something to do with it, or do you think this is a consistent thing throughout, just say, the last century or two?
I think some choices are made too with this, but absolutely, technology and accessibility of information plays a major role to it. But there has to be some force kind of like guiding you and steering you into particular directions, right? Let's take that video of that guy we saw dancing. I mean, are you interested enough in African dancers to ever look up something like that?
I don't know what you mean. I don't understand the question.
Are you interested in how people dance in Russia?
No.
So there's some choices being made too. So there's something slanting you into whichever particular thing that you're interested in and looking at for whatever your particular reason is. So your interest may not pull you into looking up Russian, whatever, the vodka dancers or whatever they do over there, but you might be more interested in keeping up with the DJs, right? You might be more interested in your 19, I was about to say 60s, but 1970s disco R&B, right? That might be something that you like looking up. So your interests are slanting you in that particular direction. So there's two things at play, right? There are your personal interests that you're trying to serve, be it entertainment or what have you, or education, and there's also obviously the accessibility of it being at your fingertips. So what were you trying to get at by asking me that question?
I was saying that you probably, not you, but it may be easier now to ruminate like that. The guy in the video who was sitting under the tree with his hoodie on, and I think that was a part in the video. And then we're gonna you can answer Brass's question on the screen. Like if we just use that image, she wasn't very specific about him, but I think his image popped up when she was speaking about depression. In this day and age in America, may not be quality, right? But a person, say, in that circumstance could go receive medical attention if they need it. They can go get food. They can even go get shelter. And in most circumstances, I'm not saying the quality of it. So I think you can ruminate now. Prior to present time, if food, shelter, clothing what was your priority, you probably didn't have a lot of time, even if you wanted to, even if you did. There's people who worked like physically hurt, right? And we can all look at our granddads and all that, and they got all the stories how they give it up. They used to walk uphill to school both ways, right? And so how do you think time frame affects that? Is that something that always was and people just made different choices, or it's a little easier now to sit back and consider a lot of this stuff because you don't have to worry about, say, the big three? And obviously we're just talking about in this country, because depending on where you're at in the world, those things change.
I think there are multiple layers to this. There are different types of ruminations, some less healthy than others. There are, how would I say this? So let's say what you're ruminating about is probably more important than or more important to it being dangerous or unhealthy for you than not, right? You're sitting back ruminating about how you can be the best parent you can be. That may not be so bad, might not be so devastating, or may not lead to other circumstances that, since we're not psychologists, we're not going to talk about right now. But then you might, let's be specific here, and let's say we're ruminating about white supremacy and what can we do about it. And I think that those are two different kinds of things that we're talking about. I think one of them is a lot closer to your reach. Ruminating about it being a good parent, you still have a little trial and error period. You can try this, try that. You can go read about this, read about that, and then come back and try this, try that, so on and so forth. Now, in this particular instance, I feel like we're talking about something that is maybe a little outside of our control, right? I don't think that we have any sort of control that we can have over racism, right? I don't think that no matter what we think, we can just end racism, right? No matter what we think, we can't think hard enough to end racism. I don't believe that. Now, I could be wrong. Maybe somebody can prove me wrong with that, but I don't see how that happens. I think we're talking about something that's like innate in humans. It would be like trying to solve the problem of why our people have like an us versus them mentality. This is something that's just innate in humans, right? Why do we see our particular friend group as better than the next particular friend group? Because we got Tri-Media. We're over here doing a business. We're trying to teach each other business and learn business from each other, blah, blah, blah. We can think about all these good reasons why, our circle is superior to the next circle. And that's just something normal, right? I don't think that I don't think there's nothing that you can do about that. But yeah, there's different types of ruminations, and what you're ruminating on is probably more important than you.
I didn't want to get you off your topic, and I think the question on the screen puts us back on your topic, right? Peace Sosa, peace Donnie, peace Imhotep, and I saw one other. Did I see anybody else in there? Oh, the question was on the screen was, and obviously you have more. You and Sosa got more expertise for this question, maybe, right? Let's put it back up on the screen.
Was that it? That's the one you're talking about?
This one right here.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this will get us back on the track that you were headed, right?
I'm not too sure which hands the conscious community is in right now, but if I had to guess, I'd say no. You know, I'm not sure if there's a single person or 2 or 3 people that I could just say, you know, and my guess is whoever I would guess is not even important to bring up their names. You know, let's just say they are who they are. I would say if they're not on here promoting, you know, how would you say, practical ideas on how we can obtain power within our current system, I don't think that they're doing us any good. As a matter of fact, I think they're leading us even further and further and further away from finding solutions, because the less they talk about those practical solutions, the further we become from it. So all the people who I can think of have been doing and saying what they've been saying for years now, and which means they've been pulling their audience away for years on what practical solutions are. You know, at some point, you know, I would say being a leader is more about being a good leader than it is just getting clicks and follows and views and giving the people what they think they want to hear. You know, I would be, a great quote comes to my mind, and it's from an extreme individual who I'd be interested in seeing what he do as president. But Cornel West, his quote was, "I don't have a damn brand. I have a cause." Wow. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Now, you know, to get specific on what his cause actually is, probably a much different question. But it says that, you know, you're not necessarily being swayed by the system, being swayed by the audience. You have something that you're working towards, and you refuse to be derailed from it. Now that energy right there is profound to me, right? But exactly what his cause is, I'm not
so
sure.
Since Logic ain't going to say names, or he can't think of probably.
I can think of some names.
No. I mean, like, whose hands the conscious community is in. If y'all in the chat got people y'all consider that are running the conscious community, that are more in control, more influential, you can go up as high as you want to say somebody like, I don't know if Umar is considered, or 19 Keys, or you can come all the way down to Sosa. Sosa got the conscious community in his hand.
On
hand, palm, 5 fingers. They move it as will, in case y'all haven't noticed.
Sosa snap his fingers and
somebody says Sa Neter. Sa Neter, is he one of the people that have the conscious community in his hand?
I mean, look, I think he's got
that you would consider.
I think he's got a pretty good grip on this little niche corner that we come from. Yeah.
Chief X. Somebody said Chief X. Donnie said Chief X got the Black Egypt game debunked. So he got that aspect in his hand.
Might be making some good points, but I don't think he's influential enough to say he's at the top of the pyramid here. But Umar absolutely is, you know, one of those people who be way up at the top. I don't even keep up with 12 keys, 15 keys, however many keys he got in his pocket or whatever you do.
I think it's 19 keys. I don't know.
It's 19? Dang.
Yeah, maybe there's another key added every year. I don't know how that works, but
that's a lot of keys, Doc.
Yeah, that's you know.
He got
Tariq.
Yeah, there you go. All them 100,000 follower people who are saying don't go vote. Ridiculous. All of them.
So they definitely fumbling the ball right now, you think?
I mean, look, I put it to you like this. With all the enthusiasm and all the vigor that comes out of these camps, man, the conscious community should be like one of the most dangerous groups in America. It should have a huge, large money pool. It should be very loud when it comes to what they want. It should be able to impact even the sales market with all the amount of people who are involved in it. A lot of, I mean, everybody who's in the conscious community ain't broke. You know what I'm saying? And even the people who are like not doing as great as other people, they still got money in their pocket. They buy stuff from Walgreens, Walmart. Like we should have some direction by now, right? And what I see is we got emotion, right? We can collaborate and agree on who to hate and what to hate, but not what to do. And that's like, man, if that does not describe overemphasizing the problem, I don't know what does. I don't know what does.
Piece of Akeem. Akeem says Elon, Zuckerberg, and Google run it. Not necessarily. I'm assuming he means not necessarily these individuals on YouTube. It's a higher powers moving the sliders here. But go ahead, get in your presentation bag if you.
Bag, man. You got to drop another one of these definitions on us.
Red pill. Okay, my bad. I was just reading chat. What's up, Robish? I didn't say what's up.
The theory of co-rumination refers to extensive discussing and revisiting problems, speculating about problems, and focusing on negative feelings with peers. That don't sound like the conscious community. It sounds like the conscious community to me. Although it is similar to self-disclosure in that it involves revealing and discussing a problem, it is more focused on the problems themselves than thus can be maladaptive. A fancy word for bad. While self-disclosure is seen in this theory as a positive aspect found in close friendships, some types of self-disclosure can also be maladaptive. Co-rumination is a type of behavior, that is positively correlated with both rumination and self-disclosure and has been linked to a history of anxiety. Because co-rumination may exacerbate worries about whether problems will be solved, about negative consequences of problems, and depressive diagnosis due to the consistent negative focus on troubling topics instead of problem solving. Dang. However, co-rumination is also closely associated with high quality friendships and closeness. Man, was that like a super duper fancy?
I don't know, man. Hold on. From somebody not in the conscious community, you got to link some of this stuff to conscious community stuff. Like this is kind of, I don't know.
Let me go through it again.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. You got to break it down and make some correlations here.
Okay, so
laymen,
you're going to make me have to mention names now.
Well,
so let's say
it's not in disrespect. I hope.
It's not. It's not. I ain't tripping. I was trying to avoid it, but I appreciate you because maybe I'm not being as detailed as I think I'm being. So I appreciate it. Refers to extensively discussing and revisiting problems, speculating about problems, and focusing on negative feelings with peers. Let's just take the first conversation, right?
Gotcha.
Let's take the first conversation and let's just take our Discord. I don't know how many mornings you actually check the Discord. Don't answer that question because I don't want to know the truth. I check it, let's say no less than every other morning.
Gotcha.
And I would say, this week was a particularly busy week for me on the Discord. I checked it every morning.
Gotcha.
And 3 out of 5 of those mornings, and it might have been 4 out of 5, before 12 o'clock now. I'm just saying before 12 o'clock. We were already in there extensively discussing about revisiting problems. and speculating.
Can you give us one problem? Can you give us one problem that was obviously revisited too much for your liking?
I mean, not too much for my liking, but
obvious.
I want to just say systemic racism in general.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, like, not that systemic racism should not be discussed, but it's how we discuss it is what makes the conversation productive. right? So like if you discussing it in a sense where you're basically telling me it's not safe to go outside because systemic racism is out there, I don't feel like we're having a healthy conversation, right? So basically what I'm saying is when you attempt to have a conversation with me about systemic racism, I tend to bring up things like economics and politics. And then your rebuttal is usually something about, oh, well, the system, it's usually you turn into a philosopher at that point. Oh, the system is against us and we'll never get anything done through the system. And then I repeat, I say, okay, so if we're not going to get it done through the system, what ways do we have to get things done? And usually people become a little incoherent after that because there's no real depth of what they're actually talking about.
Okay,
And
okay.
at that point, then all they are left with is discussing, revisiting problems,
Okay.
focusing on these negative feelings.
Okay. I have a question
Yes, sir.
real quick. Do
Mhm.
systems work?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they perfect? No.
Okay. And the reason I asked that, right? I'm sure anybody when they were younger, if you're African American, you learn about the system and the man, right? Until I worked for like a large corporation. And even though it's obvious to people who look around, you see it everywhere how systems work no matter who's at the helm, right? You can use McDonald's. The goal of one of their systems is that a cheeseburger, and it sounds it sounds silly, but you think about it. And I actually work for Anheuser-Busch. I'll use that excuse that a Budweiser tastes the same no matter where you purchase it at. That a Budweiser beer, whether you drink Bud or Bud Light or not, doesn't matter, right? The goal of the system is that a Bud Light tastes the same no matter where you go on the planet. And someone would think, like I used to think, oh, you just ship it. You make it in one place, you ship it all over the planet, and it'd be exactly the same. That's not how things like that work. It's not financially, feasible. It's not realistic. So you have all of these different pieces that are set up around the world to produce a product that tastes the same. And my point would be that no matter who's working there, no matter if you could have a 19-year-old working in the brewery or the can plant, you could have a 50-year-old, you could have a Republican, a Democrat, you could have an atheist or a Christian, you could have a capitalist or a socialist. It's set up that no matter who you put in the system works the same way. Like it's hard to sabotage the system. So somebody can say, well, if somebody wanted to sabotage blah blah blah, they could do it. So I'm kind of on the other side of the fence. So if someone says white supremacy and and the system is set up to work no matter who's at the helm and function properly to get the same result at the end. So that's why I asked you, in your opinion, do systems work? And to
So
me, that would be a reason why they work, is because you just can't easily, like, just say me working there and I was a Coors guy, not a Budweiser guy, and I purposely got a job at Anheuser-Busch to sabotage their process so that Coors stocks go up and Coors win. It's almost impossible for me or even a group. Like it would take a major undertaking just to overturn something like that or to put that in like shambles. So that's kind of how I look at the system. And when people mention the system, the man, the white supremacy, it's not always, and I'm just, on the pushback side of this for you, that it's a complaint or the remedy is let's go fix it and change it. And I'm not saying, that you're saying it's that simple, but to me, systems work, well, because it's hard to derail it by changing a few pieces or throwing some, different things at it. It's just not that easy. And I think white supremacy is an extremely difficult system that operates. Go ahead, bro. I hope I'm not off the path over there either.
Nah, I mean, I heard everything that you said, so I would agree. So let's go back to your analogy of let's say somebody we're delivering beer across the world and they get it, it don't taste the same as it does here in American factory, right? That's just summarize kind of what you said, right?
Actually, I'll just put it in white people terms. White supremacy doesn't, let's just use white supremacy. You don't only need white people to make that work. Like the inefficient way would say, this system's only going to work if white people are operating it. That's not how systems work. Systems are set up to work no matter who's operating shit. So that's the analogy pushed back right into like the white supremacy field. Like it's set up to operate no matter who's at the helm. Go ahead.
So okay, I'm not clear on something. So
go ahead.
So based on exactly what you're saying, what did Martin Luther King do? What did he do?
I'm not. He did a lot of things. Are you trying to say he pushed for civil rights and got civil rights passed, right?
In context of system related, what did he actually do?
But what's the other part of a system? Of that system? Backlash.
I'm not sure this is your analogy.
Backlash. Backlash is a part of the system. It's like a redundancy built in, and in any major movement, it's followed by backlash, and let's just use Trump. That to many people, it was obviously a backlash to Obama without going into, to all the details. Martin Luther King, right? Civil rights. What's the backlash in the 70s? You get drug epidemics. You get the prison industrial complex. You get certain public housing initiatives, things like that. So backlash is a part of that system. I'm not saying that the system, I was just using beer. Like it works because the system works, not necessarily because people work.
So in terms of our American system, right? Gotcha. That does absolutely have some white supremacist traits. No denying that. Now, are you saying that you've never seen like the system kind of reshape itself, not the public, not legislature, like you've kind of never seen, nothing new ever happens in this particular system? Is that that kind of sounds like what you're getting at?
No, not at all. Not at all. What I'm saying is, if there's a backlash or the ability to have a backlash against any and all the advancement, it doesn't mean to shut them down completely, because the advancements don't shut down the system completely. If the advancement, what was a complete threat to the system, then I believe the backlash would be a complete shutdown of the advancement. So civil rights wasn't a complete shutdown of the system. It wasn't. If you use George Floyd, everything that happened after that, all of the initiatives, all of the corporations that put money aside and created special departments, for inclusivity and anything that had to do with that. All of those things, not all of them, but a lot of them are getting rescinded now. Those people are getting fired. The money's not going there anymore. You have the MAGA movement. So it's, to me, that could be seen as, used often as a opposing side to a Black Lives Matter issue, right?
Are you familiar with Brown versus Board? and how that affected Jim Crow?
Go ahead.
I mean,
Okay.
Jim Crow was the current system in the
I
South.
understand what you're saying. So if we look at African Americans' current problems today, I bet you they all line up with the current, not the current, but the issues we had in the 2000s, in the 70s, in the 60s, maybe not the 50s and 40s. But the only way you would be able to I think prove that these changes changed us completely better and shut down the system, we would have to be in a better place. I think my point of there being backlash after these advances would explain the issues we're having today, whether it's financial, health, employment, education, legal, criminal justice. I bet you backlash would explain the issues that we're having today. If things we did broke the system and changed the system indefinitely, I don't think a lot of issues that we currently have we should be having. I said 504. What's up, man? Cuban, what's up? Peace to the chat.
So, unfortunately, I think
I didn't come on. I'm on here as a guest. You know.
No, I'm me and you,
look,
me and you, we good, right? So I just gave you two good examples. I gave you Brown versus Board, disruption of the system. I gave you Martin Luther King, disruption of the system. I mean, unfortunately, I can't go on and on and on because I've been trying to make other points. I feel like, I can, I can look up these, in a heartbeat. I can find a good 10 of them if needed be. But as I sit here and point out examples of the system, kind of, I don't know what I would say. I don't know if it will be correcting or maybe like to some degree bending in certain directions. Right? I don't think you'll ever just have like some overhaul of the system. I don't think that's realistic. And I don't if that's your goal, to go from capitalism to socialism, I think that your goal is a little too lofty. It might become unrealistic at that point. So unfortunately here in America, we are under the thumb of the system, right? And the system definitely isn't fair to us, right? We have a lot of obstacles. We have a lot of things to overcome. And I'd like to talk about how to overcome them. I agree with you that we have a lot of challenges. I agree with you that the system is not fair to us. I agree that there are a lot of obstacles in our way. So how do we start chipping away at that? It's like the elephant that you're trying to eat all in one bite. Of course, there's no small, simple, one word, one sentence, one paragraph answer to that. It's something that had to be approached from a multitude of different sides. But as I went back to the definition, it says because co-rumination may exacerbate worries about whether problems will be solved. Will we ever solve the problem of the system? I don't know. About negative consequences of the problems. I mean, if we try to do this, won't the system stop us from doing it? I don't know. The depressive diagnosis due to the consistent negative focus on troubling topics. Should we even be talking about coming up with solutions? I'm gonna have to go with yes. We definitely got to keep these conversations going. We definitely got to. And then it goes on to say, instead of problem solving, however, co-rumination is also closely associated with high quality friendships and closeness. So I think there's something to be said here about our general approach to these things right now. So like you would naturally have more confidence in house buying than me. You got a lot more information. Right, that's something I still can't get necessarily confident about. I don't have any experience in it. Right, you've got resources, you've got your own personal stuff. So you have built up this confidence in this particular area. What's up, Corey, man? No, Corey is one of the most interesting people on the internet.
Don't be giving Corey special shout outs,
Man,
he gave you props.
I just, man.
What's up, Corey?
I'm glad they're here. I can't,
Peace to
you
the
know,
Carnivorous
it's gonna be cool.
Podcast.
Gonna be cool.
And the
So,
Converse over there.
right, I'm trying to, you know, hammer home the point here is that we are
You got it.
talking, you know, we are right back in the circle of exacerbating the problems. You know, asking, will it ever be solved? You know, how do we start solving it if we don't start chipping away at it? And how are we going to chip away at it outside the system? I should be asking you those questions. Which ways outside the system are we going to start? Are we going to use to be able to start fixing these problems? That's the big question.
Well, also a question is, what are the problems? What are the current problems?
Start with what?
And actually, I think you were in the conscious community. I didn't want to jump outside of that.
Oh man, you ain't got to tell everybody
No. What I'm saying is, you were talking about that. I didn't want to jump out to the general population numbers because I know your goal was to speak to some of the, you know, things you see going on over there. So I didn't want to take it all the way out to like just general public stuff. So, but no, I think any you know, you have to know what the problems are. You have to define the issues, right? Then you can start working on solutions. And you know, I think depending on where you or anyone comes in the game at, what affects you may not affect the group, right? What you know, just use the I guess the religious aspect, right? Most African Americans are Christian. Most. So if there's issues that may be prominent to African American Muslims or Muslims, that may not be seen as a big deal to Black Christians. So their issues may differ a little bit, you know. So you have to find, I think, common issues that across the board affect most people of the group. You know, you start with that, but you have to define them first. And the one thing about, I think too, you know, the information age that we're in now, a lot of this information is available. Government websites, you know, the same government that, you know, a lot of us have problems with sometimes, they document a lot of information through their different agencies. So the data is there. You could always go by your local situation, your friends, your family, your neighborhood, your city, your county. So those issues may vary.
Right. So if I wanted to fix some local issues, let's start with which politician would have the authority or who I should be bringing this problem with. Right? Do I go beat on their door or do I go live about it? Which one of these do you think might be a more beneficial approach to actually getting it done?
Well, I think live would be to bring the attention to people. That
if there's a pothole on my street in real life, do I go live about it? Do I figure out which politician in my local community is responsible for it, or at least can maybe send it up the chain, get funding, get it fixed? Or do I go live on the internet about it?
In real life, you can take a picture of it and put it on a politician's Facebook page.
Well, then there's no need to even go live, is it? Why are we even talking about the pothole on the internet then? You know, that's interesting. That's very interesting. What would the point of even having the conversation on the internet be if you don't solve the issues on the internet?
I would think to get more people to take pictures of it and send it to the politician's Facebook, because your picture may not do it. Or I could be on, you know, the internet to make money. This could be my point.
Oh, you mean like scamming?
Whoa. This could be my side hustle. You didn't even let me get it out.
Oh, my bad.
I think if a scam would be if I said, hey, send me $50 and I'll go knock on the politician's door my damn self. You know, I'll take some of the dirt out the pothole and just throw it in his face when he opened the door. You send me money, and you know, I don't do that. That's scamming. You know, purposely, you know, lying to people.
You could be political, not a political, but you can be a community activist like Nakmeezy was that time. He saved those soccer moms from the egg fight that they had after that soccer game. I mean, you know, you could do that. Yeah. We ain't Nakmeezy in a minute either. After I politely asked him to have a conversation with me. Unfortunate. I was looking forward to that. Peace to Nakmeezy, yo. Peace to the soccer moms.
So hold on, you trying to say he ain't want that smoke?
I mean, he ain't come get it if he did want it. So we'll just put it like that.
Y'all heard it here second. I ain't gonna say first. You heard it here second.
He definitely had a shot.
Hey, real quick, I just want to say, he preparing for a UFC fight. Shouts to Nakmeezy. I speak to him like every other day. Okay. He in the UFC or something like that.
Oh, is he? Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah, he do MMA. So
that's fine.
He been in training, man. But he hit me up like 2 days ago. Said as soon as he get out of training, he'll hit us up.
That's what's up.
Time somebody try to mess with them soccer moms, they get knocked out. That's what that means. I dare you touch one of them damn soccer moms.
Go ahead, bro. Continue.
My bad. I'm getting distracted, Joe. All right, so I have zoomed through this text to get to put the, you know, I was about to say something else, but to get to the good part, right? And I'm gonna just start from. I don't want to bore you guys. Let's see. Specifically, start here. Specifically, we found that racial discrimination was associated with elevated endorsements of rumination among Black youth, which was in turn associated with elevated endorsements of depression and anxiety concerns. This is significant as previous work has only examined the interplay between racial discrimination and rumination within the context of depressive symptoms. Despite the significant comorbidity, that's a funny saying word, that exists between anxiety and depression symptoms, as such, the current work is among the first to demonstrate that rumination in context of racial discrimination is associated with depression and anxiety among Black youth. On one hand, results lend credence to previous work highlighting that rumination can function as a transdiagnostic factor in the context of depression and anxiety, and provide preliminary evidence to suggest that rumination represents a robust target for intervention in the context of racial discrimination. On the other hand, when considered in tandem with previous work, suggesting that rumination can lead to depression and anxiety for different reasons, findings raise an important question regarding the unique ways in which discrimination-related rumination may be associated with depression and anxiety. For example, here we go. It may be that ruminating in the context of racial discrimination may increase perceptions of threat in one's environment and decrease feelings of safety, thereby increasing anxiety symptomology. However, in line with our anchoring theoretical model, it could also be that discrimination-related rumination may lead individuals to perseverate on negative cognitive and emotional reactions to discrimination, which may give rise and perpetuate this depressive symptoms. Nevertheless, understand developmental process that discern unique pathways by which rumination related racial discrimination contributes to depression and anxiety merits further investigation. Spoken like a normal scientific article would.
I agree. Don't nobody talk like that, by the way.
There's always room for more investigation, but the key here is that they are making a clear connection between rumination, depression, and anxiety. They're making a clear connection between ruminating about racial discrimination can lead to anxiety and depression. They're making a clear connection about ruminating about racial discrimination can once again exacerbate the problem in this particular problem. We're talking about racial discrimination. You can, I don't have a better term here, but you can start seeing ghosts, right? You can walk out of your house so focused on.
Hold on, you mean white ghosts that wear hoods? And you don't mean them?
Hopefully that's not in your neighborhood.
Okay.
I'm definitely hoping ain't none of that in y'all's
Somebody
neighborhood.
said they saw them. The elders, they used to actually see them ghosts, right? Yeah.
They did. This was a real thing.
Right, that's facts.
I mean, this is a real thing, right? I'm not saying that it doesn't exist.
No.
But it absolutely says in the article hits, right?
No.
The article don't say nothing about the ghosts. That was my personal little proliferation, pontification in there. I'm trying to get back to it right there. Consider 10 raise point question, be associated with depression, discrimination. There it is. It may be that ruminating in the context of racial discrimination may increase perceptions of threat and decrease feelings of safety, thereby increasing the anxiety. There it is right there.
Okay. Stay right there, right?
I stay right here.
First of all, in the words of God Killer, piece of that was a lot of readumship going on there. I like that word.
I thought I got through it fast.
No, I'm messing with you. But in the context of racial discrimination, we would assume that there's some racial discrimination going on, right? So it sounds like if you overthink racial discrimination, you may increase your perceptions of threat in one's environment. Is racial discrimination threatening?
Is racial discrimination threatening? No. So this is the part that you are.
I was just reading the sentence, bro.
No, what I'm saying no. I'm saying no to. I'm not even answering your question at this point. What I'm saying no to is you use the word overthinking, and overthinking and ruminating is not exactly the same thing.
My bad.
Ruminating is more about only focusing on the problem instead of actually talking about problem solving. Are you
okay? No. Okay, no. I get it now. Now, is it possible that a large portion of a group could only ruminate and not actually solve the problem, and not be able?
We can't get into a group and discuss solutions.
Well
just as effectively.
No, you're right. No, I'm just asking because It sounds like if you concentrate on the problem, that means if you didn't, you would have the ability to come up with a solution. No? Yes?
That wouldn't exactly fit the definition of ruminating. I'd put it like that. Okay. Let me put ruminating back on the screen. Yes. I'm using the term co-ruminating because that would be.
Oh, you was on co. My bad.
I'm even on co. I can put up ruminating, but co-ruminating is specifically more what we're talking about because that would refer to you ruminating with someone, right? It would be us having a conversation about a particular topic. That would fit the.
Gotcha.
Fit the description
and then I have one more question. Unless you have some more.
You can go ahead. Let me just read.
You good. You know what? Zoom in. Yeah. Make it bigger because I.
Okay.
I can't see. There you go.
About that. That's good. Okay. Co-ruminating refers to extensively discussing and revisiting problems, speculating about problems, and focusing on negative feelings with peers.
Okay, stop right there. Okay, let's stop. Right. Because we're gonna try to take it one sentence at a time. This way you don't read it and we have to dissect it. Discussing and revisiting problems. The opposite of that is what?
Solutions.
Okay. Now, if you don't have a solution, then the next step would be don't revisit the problem. Well, if the problem is not solved, most people revisit the problem. Now, this may be discussing. So they can't say anything anymore. Now, I'm just being, overboard with it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Extensively discussing and revisiting problems. So don't over discuss it. Don't revisit. The opposite would be discuss it less, talk about solutions. Don't revisit the problem as much, right? But or speculating about problems. So that would mean something you maybe can or cannot prove, right? Or it's not tangible, maybe speculating and focusing on negative feelings with peers. I'm having an issue, not with the definition, but if we speed past negative feelings, and anybody knows now, like younger people are way more vocal about how they feel and their emotions right now. Like you've seen it on the world stage. People take mental health breaks, world champions. Now, to us, that may be a feeling. To them, it's something necessary, right? I would consider those two similar. Negative feelings, and if I'm not gonna, I think one of them was a tennis player. Not gonna play tennis today. I think even Simone Biles did it, right? Didn't she take a mental health break because she feels a certain way? So negative feelings, it sounds like you might be pushing it like it's complaining. More on a complaint side, like I'm just complaining, or this is water cooler talk. Around then there's an old saying, misery loves company. So negative feelings with peers. That means people who are similar status, whatever that they are, their own peers. So if you're my peer and that same pothole you was talking about, or you're my neighbor, you're gonna hit the same pothole I'm gonna hit. What the hell else we gonna talk about? We got the same negative experience. Brass, if he in Jersey, and every time a storm hit, the lights go out. Him and his neighbors, their peers in that situation, they're gonna talk about that. They're gonna every time they're gonna talk about that. They ain't just gonna say it once, like shit, this is crazy that our block the light keeps going out, but across the street. I witnessed that here. I live by a high school. So our grid stays up, but like right across one of our roads, that side always goes out. If I were them, I'd be like, why they shit always on, my shit always off every time, storm come through. So peers would mean, what's the word I'm looking for? Relative to you and your situation. Negative feelings. If something's affecting you and your peers negatively, okay, y'all feel the same way. Focusing on it, obviously it ain't fixed. Extensive, well, if you don't have a solution, hey, I know the solution to fix the pothole is to put gravel in it, compact it, seal it up. I don't have a dump truck. I ain't got no damn gravel. I ain't got no paver. I ain't got none of that. So
Are you saying that you're having trouble with when does it become an extensive discussion?
And revisiting problems, speculating about problems.
So I think we just need some more context.
No, you go.
Right?
Go ahead.
Hey, let's do a quick commercial break, and then you got a couple questions if you don't mind.
You got it, executive producer.
Hey, I'm in the back chat. I'm just trying to keep y'all right. Y'all ain't got to do
y'all don't want to talk through y'all commercials.
Hey, y'all
don't want the executive producer all on your tracks.
Hey, keep talking. I'm out.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Logic, if you could do me one solid.
For sure.
One, just a simple solid. Wherever the word problems is at in that definition, could you put Brass like his name like right in there? Like that's definitely like he would be something that I'm co-ruminating about like right now. So that in real time, let's replace all of the word problems with Brass. But
not doing it.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah. Welcome back,
yo, this is Logic Show. He got a solid topic.
So I think we just need some more context here, right? So there's obviously a difference between problem solving and co-rumination, right? I'm sure discussing and identifying a problem is a part of solving a problem, period, right? So what we are referring to when they're talking about co-rumination is, let's see, we get through once they've made a difference between self-disclosure and co-rumination. Co-rumination is a type of behavior that is positively correlated with both rumination and self-disclosure, linked to the history of anxiety, because co-rumination may exacerbate worries about whether problems will be solved, about negative consequences of problems, and depressive diagnosis due to consistent negative focus on troubling topics. Instead, this is where it starts getting key right there. When they say instead of problem solving, I think you should have nailed down the definition at this point.
Instead of problem solving. Okay. All right.
At this point,
you got it.
At this point, now you are getting into the territory of coping with problems instead of solving them.
All right. And because Logic is quick on his feet, this is for everybody in the chat and everybody watching.
They don't know that about me.
Yeah, they do. All right. Logic, I'm sure, has some solutions about how we work on rumination and co-rumination. And with the woke Black people, sticking to the title of the show, on YouTube.
Of course.
We didn't name too many names. I think we bounced around a little bit, but we can say general. So what do you think the woke Black people on YouTube should be? What solutions do you think they should be looking at, or how do you solve that problem that the woke people on Black YouTube are ruminating and co-ruminating more than they are providing or even talking about solutions?
I mean, when it comes to problem solving, trial and error is also a part of it. You're gonna fail, and I think that's like with anything that you're really trying to accomplish. If it's got something beneficial on the other side, a lot of times you might have to go through some trial and error, right? You're gonna have to figure out what works for you or works better in your particular environment, so on and so forth. But taking the first step is usually the hardest step to take. And I'm saying, I think it should be somewhat obvious that YouTube doesn't allow you to take a step anywhere. I mean, it only allows you to talk about the problems. Yeah, I mean, whatever solutions that are good idea solutions you might have, they gotta leave YouTube.
So you don't think YouTube can be used as part of a solution?
I think it can bring awareness to the problems. So, so like, let's say if we discuss a particular problem, I didn't have one on top of my head, but whatever that particular thing is that we have an issue with, well, so now let's move this conversation. Okay, we've identified this problem. So, okay, so what do you think would be a good idea, step one of solving it, man? Because in my mind, I'm thinking about going down to the city council meeting and raise hell. What do you think?
Mm-hmm. Is woke YouTube another a term for something? Because woke YouTube can be all kind of people, and just so people understand, Logic is a part of the coalition. So he ain't afraid to say names. He's part of the coalition. He ain't afraid to tough topics.
I wanted to cast a wide. They did.
Good.
I wanted to cast a very, very wide net, scoop it all up. You know, so I use the term woke, but I'm referring to all of it, right? The ABOs, the FBAs, the Hebrews, the natural healers, ADOS, all of it, right? Like these are coping mechanisms. At least the way I see it, right? Again, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not trying to professionally diagnose you from YouTube, but based on what I'm reading and how it fits into what I'm actually reading, it seems like we are developing skills. This is how I look at things, right? With repetition, you are developing skills, whether that's communication, whether that's confidence, whether that's whatever, your eating habits, sleeping habits. You're developing these skills as we go. And what skills are we developing by voicing our complaints on YouTube?
Well, I can give you a few useful things that again we take for granted because technology moves fast a lot of times. And there's a question on the screen, if you could read that from Rogish. So as soon as I'm done, you can go ahead and answer that. YouTube allows a few different things, right? It allows video and audio. Like we take those two things, for example. It also gives you an opportunity to fast forward and rewind. Now they have transcripts where if you know that different languages. So if there's someone in a different country that speaks an entire different language, you can get a transcript of it and have it translated. So to me, some things that are taken for granted because of the speed that they're used, and also that we use them a lot of time for recreation, we don't see the utility in them. So YouTube, just for those reasons, I think can be a major tool. You know, at any day and at any time, if you have internet, you can log on to, and get those various things. Prior to this, there was, radio where you only got the audio. And if you missed it, you missed it. That was it. And I'm not talking about, most people recorded, music, but the news, and documentaries, audio that may have just been a person that was on as a guest. All of that is, and it's documented now, and it's saved. I ain't gonna say forever because no one knows what forever is, but I think it's a more valuable tool than just a lot of things that we take for granted. So somebody changed the question on the screen. If you want to answer Rogish's first question.
So if Black people could talk about their problems objectively and point no finger towards any other person involved in the circumstance, what would you deem permissible? My suggestion may not work for everybody, but my suggestion is to have some more personal goals, have some larger personal goals. I feel like if you have enough personal goals that are keeping you occupied, you have less time to sit around and think about things that are stopping you from achieving your personal goals. I mean, I know that sounds really, really simple, right? But say you start setting these personal goals, wherever they are. I don't know what they would be for you, and I'm saying start small. I mean, I'm saying don't start in, let's not start in how do we help everybody, because you can't help, everybody's not in position to help everybody. Everybody's not in position to help the whole neighborhood, more or less the whole, just your neighbor, right? Let's say we're going to dumb those goals down into getting ourselves in position of where maybe we can help the whole neighborhood. In position, maybe we can help the whole city. In position, maybe we can help the whole state. One step at a time. So having a large enough personal goal, whatever that would be for you, maybe accelerating or progressing in your career, getting some more education on something that's actually like beneficial for a long-term you, right? Something that 20 years from now, you could look back or give your current day self a call and be like, yeah, man, keep doing that, because we need you to do that, because 20 years from now, you know, we could reap the benefits, right? That is a suggestion I say, and that's what, when I read these papers, it kind of says the same thing, ironically, is that if you just keep yourself occupied with enough positive things, let's say you like horseback riding, go horseback riding more. You know, find more time to do stuff that you like, that you actually enjoy. Me personally, I'm more of a goal-oriented person. I would prefer to be distracted with something that's a little bit more progressive. So yes, immerse yourself in positivity, right? Surround yourself in friends who are also pushing you to be more positive, to do more progressive things. And if you're doing enough of that, you don't even have time to consider what's trying to stop you. Not that these things aren't trying to stop you. They don't go away, but they never go away. Like, there's always things trying to stop you. You know, that's just a part of life, right? I think I'm not sure if I made it really clear when I was talking earlier, but like, let's say, you know, if I was a basketball player, right, I cannot allow it to enter my head that the person across from me is going to stop me. I gotta play like there's nothing he can do with me. Like, that's how I'm able to be my best, is like having this mental, you know, self-talk that allows me to operate in a way where I feel like I can't be stopped. Yes, I'm not the tallest person out here. No, I'm not the fastest person out here. Yeah, the ref is against me tonight. I'm still going hard. Like, that's it, bro. Man, when you hear all the people who are successful talk about being successful, they talk about pushing through. They talk about not giving up. And they don't talk about there's no obstacles for me. They don't talk about I didn't have adversity to overcome. They talk about you just can't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Whatever it is. You know, I used to sell cars. You know, like if you go out try to buy a car and, you know, you get told no 10 times, I mean, you still need a car, don't you? Can you realistically afford to stop? No, you need a car. Don't stop. Keep going. Get creative. Do what you gotta do. And if you are immersed in that, you don't have time to focus on all the things that can stop you. They'll actually become not invisible, but, you know, irrelevant, because I'm gonna keep going anyway. That's it.
Logic.
I mean, that's me.
Because this is your show, it may be easier to answer some questions. If you're done with your overall presentation, would you mind if some guests come up and
absolutely not, man. I'm welcome. I welcome
people
them to come
definitely more versed in woke black YouTube than I think Logic froze y'all. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the link. Chef is back. I'm gonna put the link in the chat. Oh no, it's there already. Oh, I forgot we got some guy in the background pressing buttons. I forgot his name. He who shall not be mentioned.
Hater.
By name or likeness. He was in there. I'm about to throw him out the back just on GP. Let's get him up out of here. Speaking of ruminating on problems. So who we got?
I think Logic's internet is ruminating.
It's co-ruminating.
It's
co-ruminating with the weather over.
It's having some issues, man. Up and down, man.
I think his internet needs to set personal goals and then set larger goals to do better.
My internet needs some better friends.
His internet service provider needs to provide some solutions. Yeah. No, that's what the hell they need to do, provide some solutions. Exactly. The link is in the chat if anybody want to come up and build with.
So did you actually share your information, Logic, or or what? Like, is that what you wanted to share? Or is this
Yeah. I mean, I felt like so I went through that 2 times a day, and I picked through the stuff that I thought was going to be the most important to avoid all the readership and avoid trying to like convolute the conversation. I could drop it in the chat, and people can pick through it and make their assessments about it. I think that no matter what, if we at least incorporate this into what we do, I think there can be nothing but positive results about it. Let's focus more on the solutions, because we already know that there are problems. Like obviously we have to identify the problems to start solving them, but if we're not talking about solutions, we're not even taking the first step. You know what I'm saying? The identifying the problem. I mean, I'm not sure if that's a step, right? I'm not even going to call it a step. Somebody else or something else might call it a step, but you haven't made any progress towards actually solving it.
Step. What do you mean someone or somebody?
Let's say it's a baby step.
I call it a step. Jesus, somebody.
It's like putting your shoes on, but if you put your shoes on, you still ain't walking yet. You know what I'm saying? You got your shoes on. You got to start walking.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
What's that going to say? Logic is going to be on with the coalition, and I'm sure they're going to have way more to say about this stuff, and probably and definitely in more detail with Sosa, Chef, and Corey. There it is.
We're gonna fight the elders coming on Sunday, man.
Ain't nobody.
We gotta get them, dog.
Wow, pseudo scammer, y'all. I didn't even see that flyer. Y'all just up here calling.
We gotta fight the elders. And I got some, you know what I'm saying? I know some stuff about them.
Hold on, what y'all got against old men with beards and balding with the?
It's funny that you even took exception to that. Do you relate to the old guys?
Yeah, maybe they're giving money to the grandbabies.
He's old, bro. He looked at that whole picture and he saw himself with the old guy. This is immediately elder abuse. He's ruminating over the elder.
I'm looking at who they're giving the money to, because my grandfather used to keep only the money he kept around the house wasn't even money. It was actually it was his little bank books and pennies, and had my ass rolling pennies. See, y'all don't know nothing about that. You had to put the pennies in.
No, I don't. I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, y'all don't know about penny roll.
I remember that.
Roll dime. He didn't let me rock with the quarters or the dimes and none of that. Nickels. He gave me penny rolls.
Get to work.
Yeah, you gotta get to work.
AI does not do well with hands. That's amazing.
What?
Yeah, they don't do well with hands. They don't. That's a thing.
Hey, so talk a little bit about the show on Sunday, and then go ahead and address whoever joins the link. I think Cuban hit the link, bro. Let's talk to you. I know.
Yeah, Cuban, man, get your ass up here too, bro.
Yeah. But I know you got a thought on the rumination idea. Well, what up, Rogish?
What it do, y'all? What it do?
What's going on?
The thing is, I can understand where Logic is coming from to a degree. But I think in his frustration, he does some passive aggressive shit in his frustration, instead of understanding how to approach the matter in an element of empathy, like what people are sharing. Like, I hope it wasn't nobody sharing nothing about the Sonya Massey thing, because we have to acknowledge that, all right, a Black reality within the United States is very particular. Okay, before we assign any oppressive factor upon it, we have to acknowledge that it is particular. Can we acknowledge that objectively?
Mm-hmm.
What say ye?
Yes. You're talking about the lady.
So it is
ran in the house and shot her, unfortunately.
No, I'm talking about all of us on this. I'm talking about anybody listening. We can acknowledge that the Black perspective of being within the United States is very particular. We do not exist within just a fellow classification level of a person like everybody else. Our community does not. Our culture does not. Everything is particular. All right. Before we ascribe that there is a boogeyman that possibly could be the culprit, right? Before we point a finger, as a lot of people try to defend against, we acknowledge that, okay, we exist in a particular fashion. Now, due to what factors objectively? Okay, you can still point at the system. You can still point at the system, but eventually you're going to have to point to those who are operators of that system, because it is not a system that operates on its own. And then this is where things, for Black people, I think this is where things get a little bit muddled, because they're not accustomed to keeping that focus on those who are the operators of the anti-Black power dynamics within the system. It's just that, okay, see if you can get them to work it differently. Well, wait a minute. What if it's designed to work like that, and not only with the personnel there, but without the personnel there? Because this white shit tends to take over things, as opposed to understanding when something is anti-Black. That racism. That's why I don't use the word racism. I don't think these people being racist. I think they being themselves. And we just don't want to accept that. So I definitely understand where you're coming from in the whole potential of rumination, because yes, you know what they call it, paralysis of analysis. All right. But also due to the particularity, and I land with this, how Black people exist within, this social structure of the United States. Just, the pressures are different. Just like they say, oh, well, we're disproportionately represented and blah, 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 blah. All right. It's the same thing with the social pressures. Personally, I feel that we are a cultural fuel for the American dream, and we are a social portal of non-whiteness for the classification standard that are here. Black people have to deal with a lot of things being utilized by the system that we don't like to acknowledge, but the system will show you in pure cliche form. All right, it will pick a nigga, lynch a nigga. All right, if Black people are feeling some kind of pain, in the words of Marvin Gaye, make you want to holler, right? That is a part of our cultural ethos. But if you ain't really saturated in really trying to understand Black people, as opposed to maybe get them to shut up, you know what I'm saying, get them to go along to get along, oh, just get with the plan or what all this, it really shows, or it leans towards more of a perspective of lacking empathy, lacking an openness of the differentness that your people operate within the system. Not saying that we don't have the potential to do just as well or better, right? And never would deny our potential. But I mean, shit, you know what I'm saying? If your people in pain, they in pain. If they're your people, they're your people. If, you know.
And I'm being passive aggressive. Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like you're projecting a little bit, but I'm actually not being passive aggressive. I'm absolutely attempting to raise the bar of the conversations being had. I mean, how can I be passive aggressive when I'm basically just reading? I'm just reading what it says. So, I'm not clear on what you're getting at with that, but I do notice that you are bringing up these issues, right? And you're bringing up my level of empathy for these issues. You're talking about your emotional stance towards what I'm talking about. But I don't think I heard you come up here and discuss anything about solutions. I find that very interesting.
But I want to understand fully what it is that one may be complaining about, because what you might hear people ruminating over might not really even be their issue. But if you develop a certain style of listening, maybe they'll be able to tell you, you know what I'm saying, as they're going through, the releasing of their pain, they possibly could be venting. Again, make you want to holler the way they went into my life, right? Have you heard people listen to that song and watch their face as that part hits them in the song? Whew, it means something totally different. But again, if you ain't really too saturated in the culture of understanding your people, then you're gonna have that issue, and you're gonna think that they're complaining, griping, moaning. Shut the fuck up! Y'all always bitching. Black people got to hear that from everybody. You might as well be shit.
Now
A
I'm
lot
up
of
here
niggas
trying to
lazy and
promote
shit.
having conversations about
Nah,
about
nah,
talking
nah, nah,
about
nah. You
solutions.
no. Okay. So what? I think I asked you this before. Pick a problem based on the title of the show: woke black YouTubers. And you said YouTube couldn't be a solution, right? I think in general, like there's no way, there's no solution for woke black YouTubers who are ruminating and co-ruminating. There's no solution for that. Like what solution would you offer up? Because you're not going to get rid of
Kick them out
YouTube.
the Discord.
Oh, no, hold on. Hold on. You ain't getting rid of black people, woke black people on YouTube. They're not going away. So what would be a solution for that if they're ruminating and co-ruminating?
So what I would hope to happen
Mhm.
is we can take this vigor and make it and maybe steer it in some productive manner, right? I mean, I think that I think I was pretty clear about, you know, I'm aware that we go through a lot of problems. I'm aware that it's not fair, so on and so forth. But that leads me back to we have to try something. And sometimes when you're going through problem solving, you go through a period of trial and error. You have to try something. You might fail here. You might fail literally 100 times. That don't mean stop. And I'm saying this is not trying anything. I mean, when that's like the whole basis of what I'm saying.
Okay,
Oh,
I have a
wait,
better
wait,
question.
wait, brother,
Hold on,
brother.
hold
You
on.
still didn't share. You still didn't share a problem. He's looking for one of the specific problems that you heard being ruminated over, wherever you heard it. What
I
was
think
the
he
what
said
was
white
the
supremacy.
time?
I think he said white supremacy.
That's so
We can,
broad, though. Wait a
we
minute.
can
There has to be something occurring within white supremacy. I mean, you know what I'm saying? There had to be something particular, right? It
we
wasn't just
can
white supremacy in general.
Well, my favorite one to talk about, my favorite one is the wealth gap. I think that is
Okay.
at the absolute root of a lot of our problems in our community. Because again, I think once you have a certain amount of like economic power, I think a lot of things kind of not necessarily go completely away, but they become not as powerful of forces against you, if you want to,
Yeah,
if you know what I mean.
mitigated. Yeah.
Right. You've kind of offset it by alleviating some problems that you might have had initially, right? Like one example, if there were more black business owners, then there would be more, you know, black people looking at resumes to actually hire other black people. That could be a
Yeah.
particular
Yeah.
way that inside of our community we can help mitigate the issues about black people being able to get qualified for particular positions in companies. Right. That could be
Yeah.
something that we can do. That would
Yeah.
be trying something. You get what I'm saying? Now,
Oh, yeah.
if we go after that and fail, you know what I'm saying? I would say we took a step, but you know, identifying the problem over and over and over again is not taking a step in trying something. That's the thing that I'm trying to make clear.
Do you believe that we're accurately identifying our problems?
No, no, no. I'll give you a great example.
Okay, hold
I'll give
on.
you a
I
great
just
example.
I just want to add to that question.
Hold on. I'll give you a great example. I had a 2-hour long conversations with some FBA members that were telling me that that their lineage was very, very important. I'd like to know how your lineage can help you solve the wealth gap. Prime example of us not discussing the issues that address the problems. Prime
I can answer
example of
that.
us
I can answer that.
going in the wrong direction with these conversations. Go ahead.
If your lineage is a part of a reparations package, that could easily help you and your particular family and those identified in that particular lineage close that wealth gap.
What does that package look like?
That now to me, it's like saying, okay, someone said if you go to school, how does that help your cholesterol? Like that, we don't have to jump from one side of the field to the other. Like, you know, if we talking about wealth is a certain thing. Health is a certain thing. Education is a certain thing. Dealing with the criminal justice system, that's a certain thing. So those are all separate. So if someone is talking about their lineage in reference to that giving them access to reparations, that directly affects the wealth gap. Also, if you go to the doctor, you know, they ask you, do you have a history of this? So it could also affect your health. Like they ask that at the doctor's office. Do you or your family have a history of A, B, or C? So those are more direct answers to those questions. So I think what you're trying to say.
Right. You right. At least now we are considering solutions when we're talking about reparations. Yes. So now when we talk about reparations and we're having a serious conversation, we can actually look up some of these cases and figure out why they weren't successful. And once you look up the cases and figure out why they weren't successful, lineage was not even the main problem. That's at least at this point we're trying to figure it out, right? We're not trying to imagine a world where our lineage helps us get reparations. We're at least understanding that the last time somebody took their case to the reparations court, that their lineage was not the reason why.
There's a reparations court?
No, well, they presented a reparations case. I said that wrong. That their lineage was not the reason why they didn't receive reparations. So now if I continue down the rabbit hole of pretending, I have to use the word pretending, that my lineage is what's going to get me reparations. Well, now we're trying to approach the situation outside the reality of what actually happened in court. You kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, but hold on. I think you misunderstand.
Wait. It's not that you're pretending.
No. I think you misunderstanding what I'm saying, right? If people use lineage and it didn't work in court, right? You go out of court. What I'm saying is, it's most likely people of a certain lineage in this country are due reparations. You can do that outside the court all day long. So, and that's not saying, oh, they're dumb for keep trying to do it that way. They got rid of that in California, I believe. Everybody knows you can't do race-based policy in America, blah, blah, blah. But at the same token, most people of a certain lineage in this country, if reparations passes for those people, it's a circle. You're going to be of a certain lineage. Go ahead, Rugesh.
I mean, well, the thing is, we it's not even decided on what reparations will be. Most of the time when the talk of reparations come up, people, is if people believe black people deserve them or not. And most people say no. And you even got some, I like the fact that it looks like it keeps, black people as more than an afterthought, within this nation, because whatever class status that was gained by black people, they're swiftly losing it, and it's eroding. At 2050, they say black people is going to be worth zero median wealth. So I understand where logic is coming from on some of this perspective. Simply because I know how the way that the matrix rocks, right? Okay, it's commerce, goods, exchange, services, personnel. All right, then. So you're supposed to be operating as a business. You're not supposed to be here as a participant, fellow citizen or whatever. No, you're supposed to be competing to beat the game, not participate in the game. But the way black people play the game, they play the game. It's like they play the game to play it and not play to win. Because when they play to win, they don't get a lot of friends, and black people like having friends.
I liked everything you said until you ended it all. I actually loved everything you said. Right? We gotta play the game to win, right? And winning, winning ain't easy all the time, man. I mean, some people's success stories includes failure of hundreds of times. Yeah. and we see a finished product and just assume they're always successful, but they failed hundreds of times. So that means you can't stop trying. So in a course, well, you know, to what you were saying, Hits, right? Qualification is a part of the reparations conversation, right? So you're hearing me agree with you. Common ground. When they took the case to court, the qualification is not the hurdle that they needed to overcome to get reparations. So if we intensify the importance of qualifying for it, we would go right back and still not have a better opportunity to win the case because we didn't focus on why the case didn't make it the first time. You get what I'm saying when I'm saying that?
Yeah, and I think you're confusing.
I'm trying to at least, you know, take what happened before, learn from it, reconstruct my argument, go back in there with what they asked for. I'm trying to win. I'm trying to actually play within the lines. Like I don't see right. That's my version of what I say. I'm playing within the lines. They tell me, you know, I don't know. Let's just pick a hard one. Let's say that they're talking about, you know, I think it was something like they could not prove any harm. They couldn't prove which specific harm was done to the people, right? Because of course you got all this legality about it actually being legal. They couldn't prove who actually did the harm and to who. You know, all you have is this is my lineage. They were enslaved. You don't know exactly who did what to who.
So then you set new standards in your system.
No.
That's an easy fix. If you can't prove it, then those who are currently there in the descendants, you grant certain. Let
me finish what I'm saying.
The systemic increase to them, man.
If they throw the case out on grounds of me not being able to prove who was harmed and by who, I at least have an opportunity to go try to either figure that out, or I have to restructure my case. I can't go in there saying, "Oh, I can trace my lineage all the way back to the boat. I know which boat they came off or what date they got here," and they're gonna say the same thing. Well, you still can't prove who did what to who, when, and what they do. So we're gonna throw the case out again. That's what I mean. And maybe I'm trying to find a word that doesn't come off, you know, abrasive, but I'm trying to, you know, I'm trying to just be real about it. Like at some point in time, you know, we gotta like kind of face reality instead of. I'm not saying that that's what we're doing, right? But if the case was thrown out for this particular reason, we can't like ignore that particular reason and go back in there with a different case. Like we gotta do what they, you know, we gotta bring them what they said they fucking need. Excuse my language, but go ahead. Somebody else talk.
By the way, that's not 2030. That's 2053, and that's not necessarily true. It's a possible thing based on trajectory from 2017, but the numbers look a little better. So I don't want to spread that we're going to reach zero wealth by 2030. It's 2053 were the projections, but that was 7 years ago. Things are a little better now. Y'all go ahead.
But a little better probably would be a little better than everybody else. And let's not forget, Logic is mainly, I believe, talking about woke YouTube. Because most people in court, and everybody should know about it, most people know how court works. You don't refile the same losing case unless you find new evidence, new methods, flaws in the system, things like that. So I think he's talking about woke YouTube pushing lineage as a way. That's just a portion of people. That YouTube arguments and court filings ain't the same thing. And obviously, I don't think people are showing up to court saying that, okay, my grandfather left the military and I heard he was promised the GI Bill and I heard he didn't get it and I heard they gave it to the white boy next to him. Those are easily documented and things you could find So those are two different, I think, ideologues as people go that you're talking about. So woke YouTube, woke black YouTube, Name a Logic show is different than the cases that are actually getting filed in court. And I think that goes to Logic's argument is people are saying this stuff. They're ruminating. Well, that wouldn't be ruminating on the negative, because go to court because your lineage sounds like a positive. But I don't think anyone is going to court like me. I'm not going to court based on my lineage. And then there's different courts. There's federal courts and the state courts. States are handling this differently. Like, right, counties are handling this different. I mentioned on one show here, because of people of color or black people or African Americans who were adversely affected by urban renewal in the 70s. That's like, hold on, let's break it down. African Americans adversely affected, Orange County, New York, during the 70s, urban renewal. That's 5 different what's the word? Criteria. Have first dibs on land that they're getting ready to renew right now before they can build on that. That's 5 separate criteria in my city and my county. So again, the whole reparations argument is not just a national thing about people yelling about something that was legal prior to 1865, and that it's not even like that in the court, and that goes to Logic's point. Woke black YouTube may focus on something that is more general, or that may bring more followers and listeners, but in the court, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. Just like Sovereign Citizen, you can find they probably got a crazy following, but how many times in court does that work out for them? Well, I saw a video of this dude in Canada, they got away with it on the 18th. Okay. But
yeah, you're left with a coping mechanism, not something that you
try
can
it.
use
It's probably not going to work. Depends on the state, but it's progressed though. But again, the Logic's point, that may not be obvious on woke black YouTube. And the whole thing, it's a check. That's old. That's passe. Oh, reparations is a check. Anybody who says that, like, really don't. Either you're trying to you're against it and you're just throwing that out there, or you really haven't followed it. Reparations been not about a check alone. Check too. But that is definitely not all it's about. It's definitely not about just lineage or what people are talking about on YouTube or how someone feels. Yeah, that's fucked up what happened. Yeah, but yeah, and they owe. So a lot of times I would liken it to, in general terms, insurance, car insurance. No one argues. And I think me and Brad said this conversation. If you could prove damages, you're allotted repair. If you crash into my car, damage me, damage my livelihood, and that's proven, I'm owed repair. Not necessarily from you as a driver, but definitely from your insurance company, if you got insurance. And that's the common way it was explained to me. You prove damages, you're owed repair. And if the repair is $800 gazillion, people have figured out how to get to the moon and got a spaceship outside of our solar system. You gonna figure out $800 gajillion billion damn dollars. You way smarter than me. I'm not gonna figure it out in the barbershop, just like I ain't figure out the moon landing. Not gonna do it. Not gonna do it. That's for people way smarter than me to figure out how you gonna come up with the $800 gajillion damn dollars. I'm sorry.
Look, they don't even have to come up with no damn money, cuz it ain't even about the money.
I'm saying that was the big, thing. How much just the money?
No, but real talk with that. All they got to do is open up the infrastructure that they've been locking black people out from. Okay, you create new credit lines. All right, there you go, and How good is these people credit? Very good. All right, then well, there you go. Then you let them participate and you let them compete. That's it. You don't have to actually empty out your banks because they're not going to do that. You know what I'm saying? And they're not finna give black people, you know what I'm saying, loads of actual liquid cash and all that shit.
Nah,
Come on, get out of here. It's not going to happen. So they can do other things within the infrastructure that's been locking black people out. Look at the way that they opened up for a migrant. All right, then. Well, shit, treat us 4 times like a migrant. I'm messing around with it, but
no, I'm joking. You don't want the gas
yeah,
station.
you feel me?
Let
Look, there
me
are
get in
things
there
they
when
can
you
do.
done.
You got it, man.
Free college. We talked about this before. Patrice O'Neill said no taxes, right? No taxes. Free healthcare. All they got to do is see that you're black. Look, if they can see that you're black to discriminate your motherfucking ass, they can see that you motherfucking black for you to get the privilege.
Language.
And we already understand that they can set their system up to discriminate against you just because they see that you're motherfucking black down to your fucking name. So it's like, all right, then set it up in a reverse. That ain't hard.
Hold on, we don't want to trigger the algorithm.
Language. Listen. So that projection of black wealth reaching by 2053 is it wasn't a certainty, because I hear that myth all the time, but I discuss these kinds of conversations all day. So when y'all say stuff like that, I'll participate on that. It was it's just a projection based on the trends, but that was from 2017. Since the pandemic, black wealth has grown 61%, mainly
black
because
wealth is a myth also. Buying power, black buying power, that's a myth, right? Everybody knows that too, right? Whatever $1 trillion that we got in buying power that some of the channels that maybe Logic don't care for push black buying power. We got black buying power $8 trillion.
But we don't have the cultural connections to spend with each other. So it don't matter how much buying power we got. We don't have none of the, and that's one of the issues that I had with Amos Wilson. That's why, you would be good at reading, Lodge, for real. The perspective of the black dollar bouncing here and there, and then we'll just be able to magically compete. It's like, well, no, you have to have your social standing within your community must be one that is set up for a respect of trade, right? Let's say that we were trading amongst ourselves before we started buying from one another. What does it take in order to wish to trade with one? It takes trust. It takes a specific understanding of character and trust of character, and understanding and knowledge of character and all that. That is not sustained as a cultural dynamic within our communities. So if just for our people just to buy with us, that's not going to be enough. They would actually have to repair the systemic sabotage that occurs with sabotaging our social connections, right? Our shit is our social connections are desired to be something which, you know what I'm saying, benefit from us being broken.
So, but I just want to address that one thing, because there are a lot of myths. I agree with the black buying power. We'll get more into that in a second. But as far as the wealth, since the pandemic, that trend that they were discussing, the black wealth by 2053, was 2017. Since the pandemic, black wealth has gone up larger than any other racial group in the United States. We're at 61%, mainly because of home ownership and the people who had homes, the equity in their homes. But the racial gap continues. For every $100 they have that white people have, we have roughly 15. So a lot of that is historical, ongoing, systemic stuff, discriminatory policies, practices, housing, education, and employment. But there is policy reforms, ways to address the wealth gap, simpler ways. And this is kind of like what Logic is talking about. We're still the community. I don't know if that's still true. I don't know the exact numbers, but I know at one time we were the community that was the least belief in the government, least voting. And there's been some tax code revisions that they're looking at to stop subsidizing wealthier families and invest in opportunities for low wealth families. There's some consumer financial protection that they're working on. One thing that I will say with wealth, and this is why I agree with Logic on this topic, because we're through all the ruminating and waiting on somebody to do something for us. While they should do something for us, I agree. But while waiting, a simple thing like a 529 savings plan when your child is born doesn't cost that much. It's not something, but those are the kinds of things that count towards the wealth gap. Create savings accounts for your children's automatic enrollment, retirement accounts. They're doing student loan debt relief, so that has helped because we are disproportionately affected. But promoting home ownership and business ownership is one of the things. This is one of the things that I believe in fully, affordable. But I think that there definitely needs to be a look at the appraisal system. There needs to look at the home equity system, and there needs to be a look at the mortgage loan system, because it disproportionately affects us. And then support for Black-owned businesses. If you can get a house, get it. It's not the greatest time right now based on interest rates, but to counteract those interest rates for first-time home buyers, it gives you a good opportunity to get into the housing market. But if we continue with advocacy and we get some of the reforms that will pass depending on different groups or whoever gets elected, if we can get some of those things, even if the wealth gap changes for every $100 that white people have, we have 15 as far as wealth. If we could even get that to 20, 25, and I know that's not, being overly positive about it, but no matter what happens, that wealth gap hasn't been changing. So if we can get it to 15, 20, 25, $30 possibly, I mean, that'd be stagnated growth, it'd be 100% growth. So I like to stay positive, but for me, I don't like to sit around and talk about it. I buy more houses, I buy more property. I try to help my friends' children who are trying to get into the homeowner market. So, I would say stay positive. That would be a counteract to the rumination of look at what the numbers actually are. And when we say these quotes, don't make it worse. That's why I wanted to correct it. When you say that the Black wealth is projected to be that way by 2030, I mean, that's like 6 years from now. But the number's actually 2053, and we got to keep it in context. That's based on something that was done in 2017, and post-pandemic.
Who said 2030? Who said 2030?
Somebody in the chat. I'm not addressing you.
Oh,
somebody
okay.
in the chat.
I said 2050.
Yeah, by 2053. But on a positive note, since the pandemic, Black people's wealth has grown 61%, and that's the highest amongst all racial groups. So I like to add just a little bit of positivity to it.
But see, that's the thing. It's not necessarily about positivity or negativity. What you're looking at is the intention. Who is it? What are the cultures that are involved that is operating this system that everybody wishes to believe that they can interact with so objectively? And also those who are from the Black community. This is why I started off saying exactly what I said right off from the jump. Do we all acknowledge that Black people do exist within a particularity within this social society? And everybody said yes. Those within the chat, they said yes. This is one of those things that I'm speaking of, right? It's not about positivity and negativity. Everybody gets a chance to feel their humanity. But most Black people that I encounter, they aren't accustomed to letting themselves feel their humanity like that. They think that look, if you gotta be twice as good to get half what they got, that's slaving. That's always been slaving. If you're only equal if it takes you just as much effort as them. That's it. That's what equality is in the system that's set off by these pilgrims and the way that their mind thinks with system development and social development. So all right then. You know what I'm saying? Can we see this for the reality that we need it to be for the sake of those who might have some disturbed spirits, you know what I'm saying, having to deal with it and not able to.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. I apologize, Logic.
Can I land my plane?
Shut up whenever you want. Go ahead, land your plane.
All right. To those who aren't able to deal with it in the manner at which you deal with it. Right? Like you said trying to say positive or something. I think it's more progressive, and we're always supposed to be progressive. But as far as to declare something as being negative, the whole negative positive thing, when it's associated with something at a time to where, again, that's why I said I hope the cats wasn't really lamenting over the Sonia Massey thing, because a lot of black people are talking about that. And, you know what I'm saying, if there was to come up, how could y'all give an ear to that? Could you let a brother or sister, you know what I'm saying, vent to you how they, you know what I'm saying, felt about that? You know what I'm saying? Thinking that there's nothing that they can do, thinking that this pop could have been them or their family member or something like that. And this is just one of those black things that could occur. You know what I mean? That's why I said, and I'll land with this. It seemed like it was, you know, a little bit passive aggressive thing, because he said it was something that he noticed within the chats, within the Discord. It's like, all right, then, so you use the word woke. It's almost like you're using it like the way that these pilgrims do in this new style of declaring something to be, I guess, what, the new style of a conspiracy theory or something. And then you charge the conscious community to it as if the conscious community was a large part of the black community. Nah, that's not the case. The conscious community was really fucking small, dog. So it's almost like you're using something for your advantage as opposed to understanding how to really give an ear to when you might be encountering those who just might be in some type of fucking turmoil. Not just ruminating, you know what I mean?
I think, man, unfortunately you're putting yourself in the box, and I'm just telling you what the box is. We started to start having a conversation about solutions, and you go right back to highlighting the problems. Go right back to telling me how much you're hurting. I'm hurting too. Dog. Believe it or not, I'm hurting too. But I know that my pain alone doesn't make progress. What are you about to say, Brash?
Agreed.
What I was gonna
That is
say,
definitely agreed.
What I was gonna say is, I think there's a difference even with the positivity and progress. The work twice as hard to get half as much is not exact, but it's true. There is a wage gap. There's an education gap. There's a lot of gaps just for in regards to minorities based on the structure. But what I'm saying is that if that's what it is, while we're working to change it to be equality, right, to reach a level of equality.
Some are. That ain't my goal.
No, well, while some, just say some, but while there are some that are working towards that that perch, I still say, and I would push all black people, all minorities that are that fall under that work twice as hard. While you're ruminating, while you're focused on the issues, while you're focused on the problem, while you're focused on the challenges, while you're focused on the legislation, while you're working on the reforms, whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that has your mind, that's why I support what Logic is saying. Wake up in the morning, focus on your goals, whatever they are, and work twice as hard to go get them. Because even if we're all equal, if we were all equal, or if that was like a goal for mankind per se, based on no race whatsoever, in any endeavor, whether you open a business, whether you work at a job, whether you're raising your kids, whether you're doing any of that kind of stuff, you're still going to have to work twice as hard, sometimes 3 times.
We wouldn't have to work twice as hard if we worked together.
Let me finish.
If we work together, we wouldn't have to work twice as hard.
Let me finish.
That's what the conscious community was trying to get black people to do the entirety of the time. But the black people didn't want to do that. Black people wanted to be Americans. They didn't want to go down with all that black shit. And that's what they was talking about. Work twice. You don't have to work twice as hard when you work together. And this is how we can work together for all of our best interests, for the top of our most health instruments as well. Wealth, health, spirituality, education, all of that, right? All of that. Black people said no. We want to go wherever the white people are based off of their dynamic of what it means to have all of that. You niggas are crazy. They don't want to work together.
Go ahead, Cuban.
They want the white man.
Hey, how y'all doing?
What up, man?
What's happening, man? Thanks for coming up, by the way.
Oh, you're so welcome. How's everybody else? Not everybody at once. You don't sound so happy. How y'all doing?
I'm feeling good, man. I'm in good spirits, man. Hits is on mute. Brash is there. I'm not sure how familiar.
I'm here.
Oh, I thought you was on mute.
No, I'm here. What up, Cuban?
Oh, shit.
My mic is probably low. My bad. Go ahead,
bro. Nah, I got they asked me to come up. So what's your question, Logic? Because it's something we talk about often. What's your question?
I thought you would bring a question to me. I thought I just did a nice little presentation. I put a lot of stuff out there for you to disagree or agree with. I mean, I don't have no question. You know, I think my larger concern is, you know, the amount of effort and energy we put into trying to get around these notions of we might potentially have to work really hard. I don't see you know, I'll just work hard. I you know, I don't know. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure of you know, looking for I'm looking for a way through, not necessarily a way out. If you kind of get what I'm saying.
You're looking for a way out, off ramp.
I mean, I've been listening to the conversation, and this is something as of lately you've been saying to me. What's the word? What's the clip?
Rumination.
The rumination. You have said to me, Cuban, you're ruminating. So, I think that if number one, that if this is something, the subject where people, anybody is dwelling on things, if it becomes something that's depressing, and the reality is it is depressing, but if it's something that's just like taking you out where it's very taking a toll on you, you know, I think the person should maybe take a break. But like the reality is that what I find is numerous people have their different solutions. You know, some people say it's to vote. Some people say it's to be with this particular party. Some people say no, it's with a particular religion. You know, there's many different ways that people think that this thing of injustice or whatever can be solved. So I think that is really entirely up to the person at the end of the day. But I do think that don't be closed-minded, not to hearing things that people may say that you can take in consideration. This is something that's been going on between me and Logic. This is something that's been going on between me and Brass. We have these conversations, and I know that I probably drive them crazy. But there's things that they say that I do take heed to and I listen to. And the reality is, at the end of the day, there is no one individual that can solve the problems to all this. That no matter what it is, no matter what you think the solution is, it's always going to entail a collective. So if you say vote, well, then you need a group of people to vote. Then you need a group of people to be with a particular party. If it's religion, then you need people in the religion. You need people, but at the end of the day, realistically, you're still going to have to indulge in politics. So politics cannot be thrown out the equation to social injustices. It just can't. What that political ideology is up to the individual. I personally do not like predatory. I don't like predatory capitalism. I'm not, as much as I may say capitalism white supremacy, I understand that there is a difference in capitalism. Not all capitalism is predatory. So if you make money, is that predatory? If you work the job, is it predatory that you got money? Now, is it predatory on the flip? Is it predatory the company or the person you work for? How they went about making their money, or do they exploit their employees? So that's predatory. But if you're living here, as much as I don't like capitalism, as much as I'm not a fan of the United States government, there's things I do agree with. To say that I don't, that's a lie. But do I think it's the solution? No, I don't. However, as of now, politically, where is the strong socialist party? Where is the strong communist party? Where is the strong any of that within the different types of socialism, the different types of communism. Is it anarchism? You know, a lot of people think anarchism is you just go out and burn cars and flip shit over. There's different types of anarchism, just like you have different types of Republicans and different types of Democrats. So politics cannot be led, cannot be by the wayside, because if you're living here and you're using currency, then you're using currency that is backed by the Federal Reserve Bank, and nobody here is making the currency. So who makes the currency? Who backs the currency? If you got to pay bills, you're still dealing with the system. If you're using YouTube, you're still dealing with the system. So I've heard these things, and these are things that these are things that Logic have thrown at me, you know, and to be like, oh, that's bullshit. No, it's not bullshit, because that's the reality. That doesn't mean you have to like it. That doesn't mean that you can't use those things to your advantage for whatever it is that you're trying to get. But you just can't, you can't escape. Even if you say, oh, I'm going to pack up and move to another country. Okay, you pack up and move to another country. You're using currency. Currency is recycled. So it's so you're going to another country. If I went and I say I'm going to Cuba, okay, I go to Cuba. Well, guess what? The U.S. dollar is way more of value than CPU currency. $20 US in Cuba can take you a week if you live in Cuba. $20 US can feed your family for a week. $20 US here, you can wipe your ass with and blow your nose in and floss your toes in a second. It does nothing. So even if you go to a place like Cuba, and if you want to live, you work and you make $12 a month. Well, I think that if you were there, you still would want U.S. currency, because it still could do for you better, right? You're still going to be using internet. You go to Cuba, there's no internet. You have to pay for internet. You get select times you can use the internet. Okay, well, so who controls the internet? Who controls the media? And I don't want to sound like somebody who sounds like they're anti-Jewish or whatever, because I'm not. I'm anti-Zionist. There's a difference between Zionism and Judaism. But Jewish people, primarily the Zionists, control media. That's a fact. That's not conspiracy talk. That's not conspiracy talk. That is a fact. That is just a fact. So there's things that cannot be avoided, unfortunately. And unfortunately, people that don't want to go with the mainstream, if you're not wanting to go with the Republican and go with the Democratic Party, those other factions or whatever that is, it's not organized where it should be organized for the organization to then implement some type of change and for things to happen. Because people are just not organized. They're just not. People are too busy pointing the finger at each other else versus pointing the finger at themselves and taking the simple thing, which I listen to you, Brass, I listen to you, Logic. There's things in your personal life that has to be in order. So if those things in your personal life is not in order, then you have no business trying to save the world. That's another thing. Priorities are not in line. So there's a lot of problems. However, not trying to sound like a negative Nancy, but in all those things, regardless, for me, there's no way that I will succumb to saying that I'm going to embrace the Democratic, the Republican Party, the Liberal Party, or any of those parties. The same way if I was in Cuba, I'm not going to succumb to accepting the government that exists there. Because politics is politics wherever you go, and the politicians and the people in power only care about their pocket. So wherever you go, and just because someone may look like you, everybody who looks like you is not your brother, and everybody who does not look like you is your enemy. So if you go somewhere else, you think there's no corruption in other countries? You think that the government is great? We see what's going on in Venezuela. Yes, the United States has orchestrated coups in Venezuela. Yes, the United States is highly responsible for the problems in Venezuela. But keep in mind, Venezuela is also accountable for the things that they have done to their own nation. So they're not innocent. It's not just solely the United States. It kind of goes back to the whole thing of it's the white man. It's not solely the white man. We individuals are accountable for what we do. Yes, there may be things that's foundational and problematic to what has occurred over time. But at some point in time, there's accountability. Just like there's accountability to these leaders. So you're telling me that a country that has oil, you're telling me a country that has alliances with other nations, that they have no money and they can't do simple things like infrastructure and roads in a place? But yet you're living nice and you flying on jets and you're wearing nice suits and your children are going to other colleges and universities and you have a private island, but your people, you say you're for the revolution. And yes, I'm talking about Cuba. You're saying that you're for the revolution, but you have shitty roads in Havana. Your infrastructure is not good. You got to wait 3 days for milk. But yet you have alliances with other countries. So there's a lot that goes into it. There's a lot that goes into it. And this is linking to this conversation that at the end of the day, that people just have to get out of romanticism, have to get out of a utopic thinking and just have to accept things for what they are. It's unfortunate that predatory capitalism is evil, but now put yourself in the shoes of the predatory capitalist. What would you do if you were in their shoes? You think that they care about what's right? They care about what's right for their interests, what's right for their nation. They don't care about what's right for the people because we're dealing with humans. We're dealing with people once they start getting power and money and stuff like that. They're not thinking about people. They're thinking about themselves. So for me to think about that, that's something in for me that I look at every day. But it's not something that's like, oh my God, let me get the razors sharpened because I'm going to end my life. No, it's the reality. And I want to be aware of these things. And these are the type of things that when we have these type of conversations and someone says, oh my God, you're crazy because you think that, well, guess what? Here's this. How about that? How about this release documentation from the government that you can read from the CIA? How about this individual that worked for the government and is telling you this? How about this that happened in 1986? This happened in 1982. This happened in this time. This happened last week. This is going on right now. We can look at this and you can see that it's the same thing that keeps happening over and over and over and over. So it's this thing of whether we're going to accept it or not. If you choose to accept it, fine. If I choose not to accept it, fine. You know, at the end of the day, what can anybody, nobody has superpowers that's going to end the shit. That's just the reality. But I don't try to run from it. Don't try to act like it's not there. Don't try to think that there's not a conversation that you can't have or a good dialogue that you can have with other people that's constructive to try to come to an understanding on things. Don't think that there's somebody that you could be saying something, the person's like, I never heard of that. I don't believe that. And then lo and behold, they go look it up and say, oh, wow, it is real. That is true. It's information. Information is power. Knowledge is power, you know? So I think that once people start taking things crazy, once you start getting into the Alex Jones arena, the David Icke arena, the Dr. Pork arena, and you start going nuts with shit that's just like, that's the type of stuff that makes, quote unquote, the woke people look nutty, is when they start taking information from people that there's nothing valid to back up the claims other than just rhetoric. You just made a statement. Okay, but where's the evidence to support what you're talking about? Like the what was
land
the
your plane,
that,
Cuban? Bring it home, big brother.
The up, excuse me.
Said land your plane, bro.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna land my big wheel. Hold on. It's just like the eclipse that just passed. That solar eclipse, right? What did people say? Oh, there's reptilian beings beneath the earth doing Masonic rituals that's ushering in this catastrophic catastrophe that's going to happen with the sun, and all this shit's going to happen. Or 5G, or there's no, COVID shot. You need to take up. This is the type of stuff that gets insane. That's like, first of all, if you're going to say that you want the liberation for your people, where every single person that you go back and you look at, regardless to whether you agree or disagree with their political ideology, whether it's from a Bush, whether it's to a Che Guevara, whether it's to a Kwame Ture, whether it's to a Mao Zedong, whoever you go with, You have to have political education. You have to have political knowledge. Once you start exiting that arena, then what arena are you in? You're in a world that is of a particular political ideology. Now you're just making shit up, or you're giving false information on political ideologies. So there's like a whole misunderstanding. So in closing, this is why I say that in my opinion, that the Black Panther Party, the original Black Panther Party, and those that were inspired by the Black Panther Party, you have the Young Lords, you have the Young Patriots, you have AIM. These individuals were profound. They were ahead of their time. And COINTELPRO was indeed a huge reason of why all of that came to a non-existence. But you look at the examples of them. If it wasn't for the Black Panther Party, it wasn't the United States government that put up in your hospitals. The United States government did not put up in your hospitals the rights of patients. That is from the Black Panther Party. Something that simple, but yet is mocked as something extremist, that's looked as communist, that's looked at as this, that, or third. But you could not even have put the rights of the patient in a hospital. So that's just, that's a little something.
It wasn't a little, whatever it was.
Yo, hey, I actually appreciate it, bro.
I appreciate you coming up though, Cuban.
Yeah, no, he made up because at the end of the day, I mean, that's what he believes. You know what I mean? So listen, even if we want to say, that we all have different perspectives. The one thing I would do though about Cuban is very clear on his points. He's very thorough on his points. So I don't have no problem with that. It's just I know other people wanted to speak, and I know we've been going this is now 3 hours. So whatever you want to do with it, Logic, at this point, you let me know. But remember, you got to clip this tomato. So what else you want to do with it? How you want to go?
All right. After that prolific speech we had by Cuban
gonna cut you, bro.
I'll wait for you in the Discord.
Get him. Why you in our analytics, bro? Get out of YouTube studio.
Am I in analytics?
Yeah, what you tired? You tired, bro?
No, am I? Oh,
yeah,
shoot.
that's YouTube studio.
I clicked on the wrong screen.
Okay, you good? Go ahead. Let me add it now.
Oh shit! It's still not doing it. My bad. My fault. I was trying to like set it up to where I could click this one particular thing and it would play like the very next thing, and apparently it's opening a new screen. So
okay.
You broke it.
All right. Well, take us out then, or ask anybody else.
I wanted to play this. I wanted to play this, and then
okay, go ahead.
We can continue the convo.
No. You set it up. Close the show with that.
So this is the face of depression that we're most familiar with, and strangely, internalizing is actually a subconscious attempt to escape painful feelings of sadness. If I'm incurably defective, then there's nothing I can do about it. It's almost comforting to wallow in self-deprecation. This is using internalizing as a defense mechanism. Now, on the other hand, some people externalize these feelings. So instead of pointing their pain inward, they project it outward onto other people or situations. It can feel really comforting to blame others for your pain. So they might say, everyone else is a jerk, or people are so inconsiderate, or why bother trying when the world is such a terrible place? Or they might say, oh, it's just hopeless because nobody cares. So when depression shows up as anger or irritability, it's often because the person is grappling with these feelings of despair. So this is the face of depression that we're most familiar with, and strangely, internalizing.
Damn.
I mean, look, I'm not putting you in that box. I mean, I think I might be describing a particular box out there and really hoping you don't fit into it. You know, I'm really just hoping that we can figure out our ways to navigate out of it. You know, if I had to guess, it would seem to me you and and Cuban are, if not in the box, you're very, very close to it. You know, I think the few times that that you had to speak, I noticed that there wasn't much more other than a highlight of more problems. Right? We did not
Highlight of more
take that
problems.
conversation into let's find solutions to these
No,
particular
I
problems.
I didn't highlight more problems. What I did was bring a focus on.
I think we
So it
lost you,
was
Roach.
all right,
Oh, there you go.
because you were declaring the ruminating to be a problem, right? So it's like, okay, well, I took a look at where you said the rumination was coming from, and then speculated upon what was the context that would possibly cause one to ruminate, right?
So
So
before we go any further, to
that's
be
why
clear,
we asked you several
hold
times
up,
what was one
because
specific
you're
problem that you
using it,
heard
you're
being
using the
shared
word out of
that was
context.
overshared.
You're using the word out of
Okay,
context. So the specific
what word?
difference, like just talking about something is not ruminating. Stating that there's a problem is not
Excessively. How about
excessively.
excessively? Then my bad. Can
So,
we throw that?
so,
Can we throw the adjective
so
in there? I add
let's
that
let's
to it.
let's let me explain how it seems excessive to me. Every time when we had several different conversations, we started talking about I think we started agreeing on the reparation stuff. And then we started talking about some economic things, right? And once I got done talking, it was either me or Brass, and then you started highlighting all the obstacles that we would have to go through. And you started making points about like, well, if we have to
Oh, so
work
you were talking about me?
stuff is
All
not
right,
fun.
all right then.
I'm
Okay,
saying in this particular instance, you would
okay.
be fitting the definition of what I'm talking about is kind of um,
As a
making
ruminator.
these problems so big to where
Right.
they're no longer achievable, right? And ruminating is typically something that you can do with other people. That's called co-ruminating, and you can do it when you're
Okay,
alone by yourself.
okay,
And what it is basically you're focusing, you're hyper focusing on all these problems to an
okay.
extent where even when you come across potential solutions, your problems are so overwhelming at this point that you never take the first step to actually trying to solve these problems. And I'm giving you an
Okay.
example of seeing it happen in real time. So
Okay,
once we started having
okay. Now I'm asking. Now we didn't ask you several times what particular problem.
So when we started talking about these conversations about having these economic about how these
I feel like Brett Favre had a crazy strong arm back in the day.
We can get into these economic solutions, right? And here we go right back into the same cycle again. We start talking about, oh wow, the system's against
An
us.
economic solution that look like what?
Systems against us, and we have all these obstacles to overcome. And I spent over an hour talking about, yes, we do have these obstacles. No, it's not going to be easy. And what you really have to develop is the perseverance to be able to push through that. And if that comes in the form of working twice as hard, well, if you really want it, why not work twice as hard?
Because you're not supposed to
let's
work
not
twice
focus
as
on
hard for
how
what you
fair it
want.
is.
You're supposed to be able to work together and work with one another. You
if-
one who came up and started this talking about the conscious community, right?
Why you
And
feel the
had
need
no
to-
idea to it whatsoever.
Why you feel the need to keep doing that? I mean, I could have sworn you've had plenty of chances to talk, and then when I get done talking, I'll be happy to let you talk. So I'm telling you how you are fitting the box. I'm telling you, whether you do it or not, whether you are ruminating or not, I'm not here to tell you that you're ruminating. I'm explaining that based on the definition, you're fitting the box, and your actions will be determined whether you're ruminating or not me. I'm just reading the definition. So it looks like you're actually doing it because, again, I'm not going to go back over it. We keep bringing up potential solutions. Let's say one of the potential solutions is working twice as hard. Unfortunate as it may be, it's a potential solution, right? I mean, if we are serious about actually progressing, what would be outside the realm of something worth trying if it actually gets us through what we're trying to get through? I mean, basically, right now, I got 2 jobs. I mean, one of them I enjoy more than the other. You know what I'm saying? One of them is like taking care of me in real life. But I'm not doing bad, and I'm still working hard. I mean, so I don't get it. Like I really don't relate to it. You know what I'm saying? And it, like, to me, I don't even see it as working twice as hard. I see it as me trying to accomplish my goals. And whatever it is, it seems like I might have to like get through. I gotta figure that out. Because those things that I gotta get through aren't going nowhere. I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow and feel like going to work. I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow and feel like cutting up this video. But I'm gonna do it. I mean, not because I want to, but because like I want to succeed, and it's that important to me. So rather than trying to figure out what else can I do other than work hard, I'm about to work hard, Joe. I think like
What makes you think I'm against hard work? And there is no other work. There is no other kind of work. There's no other kind of work. You use hard work as if there is another type of work. There is no other kind of work. If you don't do hard work, you're not going to work effectively, right? This whole twice as hard shit. This and again, you're talking about the conscious community. You started off talking about the conscious community charging the conscious community to some form of wokeness or whatever the fuck, which I don't really think you understand what that means either, right? The conscious community was always about getting black people to work together, to pool their resources to do everything that you think that you freshly done came up in your head with. And what black people done showed was that black people didn't want a cultural connection to any of that. It wanted what it considered to be, all right, this is the American way of doing it. And for some reason, it largely mimics more as just mimicking pilgrims, as opposed to having your own personal ethos of how you wish to develop your wealth, right? How you wish to develop your business administration. It's more along the line, okay, nope, if we work hard enough, we could get here. And it's like, well, wait a minute, no. If we pool our efforts, pool our resources, pool our creativity, we will be able to create it for ourselves. It'll just be of a different quality other than that which the market would offer you. But you'd still have a high, if not a higher qualitative perspective of life, communal connection, all of that, right? Okay, the conscious community wasn't woke. The conscious community was inspired. That's one thing that the conscious community get called, you know what I'm saying, as far as one thing I didn't know about it. I didn't know that they want to really battle with him when it came to the fight, though. You know what I'm saying? I thought I was pro-black. I thought I was Pan-Africanist. No, I'm a supremacist, cuz. You feel me? And the conscious community is not supremacist. They hold no ill arbor toward white folks in the United States of America or you know what I'm saying, police and nothing like that. They just want to do their own cultural thing. And it seemed like America then always had an issue with black people trying to do their own cultural thing. Wow. Especially if it affords them some form of self-worth. Black people can't have that. Nor can they acknowledge that, okay, that seems to be some form of a vendetta against black people. That's why I asked the question. To anybody who think themselves to be a solutionist, do you think that which you're looking to work with wishes to see your community in a thriving state? And that's just a simple yes or no question. Does America have a problem with a thriving black community? Yes or no? Has it in the past? Okay, we can say yes. Can we gauge that from then on up until now to see if perhaps maybe some of that intention still lies within this nation? And not just that, oh, woe is us, we'll never defeat it. No, okay. Perhaps maybe some things have shifted in this, you know, some desire to feed upon us in this regard, right? Things aren't sweet to the point where people could take their eyes off the teeth up in this piece, man, because it's still eating us. It really is. That don't mean that we can't create for ourselves. That don't mean that we can't elevate ourselves. Right? That don't mean that we can't do well and do better. But if it's going to be by the standards of this system, it'll never be like that. It has to be by our own. And that's one thing that black people never wanted to. And I land with this. They never wanted to choose their own definition of a standard of a quality of life, of a quality of life. Other than that, which how, I guess the United States said, hey, if you can If you can afford this style of life within America, you're doing it. You're all right. You know what I'm saying?
What standard you talking about? What standard are you saying
This
that we should adhere to since not the other standard? Which
our
one are you?
own. Put like this. Imagine if all of our performances stayed just with the Chitlin circuit. Imagine all that they were able to create within their creativity. Think about what the culture those particular cultures that are involved with performing, you know what I'm saying, writing music, traveling, all of that stuff. Imagine if they just would have stayed with the Chitlin circuit. The bouncing of the black dollar, even though at a low amount, right? Nowhere near what it would have been in Hollywood, right? Nowhere near, but it would have been a higher qualitative dollar. It would have, you know what I'm saying? It would have had a much lasting effect as opposed to just trying to rock out there in Beverly Hills. The thing is, our quality, we should become our quality. And once that happens, then we'll always make the right moves. But if we're just always, you know what I'm saying, thinking about competing or participating, it's like, nah, we should be. That's why I asked for Divinity. If thriving is your goal, then you know who your enemies are. Anyone that is against you thriving. You just make sure that thriving remains your goal. And anything that comes before that, no matter what color it is, no matter what culture, no matter what skin color, you know what I'm saying? None of that. The thing is, the people are supposed to be their epicenter. And black people are not their epicenter because they don't know how to belong to themselves while still offering themselves over to this whole ass eat a nigga matrix generation after generation after generation after generation.
I can't lie. I'm really stuck on the fact that you said the black dollar, as if the black dollar isn't the American dollar, and if you don't have to work within some kind of framework to you know obtain this American dollar, I'm still stuck there.
You definitely do. Of course you do. You definitely look. There's no way to avoid this system, dog. Right? I ain't talking about avoiding the system. I'm talking about exploiting the motherfucker. I'm talking about using it in its highest efficiency for us. The way that you play the game here is not the rules that they tell you the way that the game is played. Because if you do, you will never win. Black people are playing this game to participate rather than to dominate. If you want to play this game to dominate, you have to have tight social bonds in which to exchange your goods and services. It unfortunately, y'all can call it classifications within this new day and time. In the past, all right, it was just cultures. You know what I'm saying? It was, you know, various chiefdoms or something. This is just a sophisticated form of that. But the one thing that kept all those bonds there was the familial link. All right, if our familial link, if a healthy familial link seems against, you know what I'm saying, your country that you're in, you got to acknowledge that. You know, it might not be a oh woe is me because they don't want us, you know, solidified or whatever. All right, whatever. You're not here to change their mind. You're here to change your reality. You're here to change your future. You're here to take more agency over your existence. That's what you're here to do. You're not here to be measured by them or even try to live up to them. That's black people's issue.
I'm okay. I mean, to me, it sounds like you're 50-50. On one hand, you want to cooperate with the system, and on the other hand, you want to find ways around it. That's what it sounds like to me. Maybe hits. What do you think about that? You got an opinion on that? I'm hearing both, and I don't think you can do both. I don't think you can.
It's a broad topic, and that's fine for a few hour show. But obviously, if you get into the minutia, and there's this other thing too, I think that's obvious. Sometimes people talk about I and me, and then there's us and we. That is not the same thing. They're not interchangeable as they seem. So sometimes, if you listen to different people's statement, I, me, like you said, I'm trying to do the best. I'm working hard. I'm this, you may have a better chance to achieve than us and we. But at the same time, us and we may be able to move the needle forward quicker and more effectively than I and me. So it's a huge conversation. It's huge. So you'd have to segment it, pick a topic, then build from there. Like it's hard. So yeah, you're gonna hear a lot of both sides. I agree. And because he's speaking to the overarching issue. Then he's speaking of a segment in America, African Americans, and then you're speaking a lot about I and me. So those are three different categories: I and me, us and we, and Americans. The overall framework that we got to operate in.
Yeah, I can control me. I definitely.
Yeah.
I'm not under the impression at all that I can control anybody else's actions.
No. What I'm saying is the conversation is bouncing between I, me, us, and we, and then just America as a whole. But nah, it's. But put the flyer for the show up.
Yeah, I'm about to close this out, man. I'm gonna play this last clip one more time,
and then throw the flyer up because we definitely want Rogish and other people to join in that conversation.
Yeah.
For the next show.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just leave it up to y'all to interpret.
Depression colors your worldview. So depression impacts your perception. It alters how you see the world. People living with depression are more negatively biased in how they see the world. Small stressors feel much bigger, and big stressors feel overwhelming. Neutral comments might seem like personal attacks, or a small mistake you make might feel like the end of the world. So when this is overwhelming, they might be more likely to blow up in anger. And, people with depression, because of this negativity bias, people with depression may feel misunderstood or isolated, which is also really frustrating. There's a few more reasons why depression might mask itself as irritability or anger. So number 4 is suppressed feelings. For some people, anger can be a defensive response. It can serve as a shield. It keeps other people at a distance, and it protects you from feeling these perceived threats or hurt. Number 3.
Yeah.
Also, no resentment for no American lifestyle. America is a whole lifestyle. It's an illusion. My only resentment is for how America looked like it views Black people's thriving states. It don't seem like it wishes to support Black people in that in no kind of way, as it support other people from thousands and thousands of miles out, whatever. You feel me? So that's all it is. You can keep your beloved matrix. It's all good.
All right, bro. I ain't got nothing else. Peace to the chat. Thank you all for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Tune in for the show that you see on the screen. Coalition. Rogish, you definitely got to go over there with that. That's going to be
a good one, yo.
Yeah, I think the gloves is probably going to be off on that.
I'm gonna do some homework, man, because I think the biggest part of those elders in that whole conversation are the psychiatrists for me. I think that they were the driving force to the rhetoric, to giving us the urgency that we lean on, and how urgent it is for us to fight against these particular battle fronts that we fight on. And it's so ironic that they chose battle fronts that told us things like our history is at paramount. Our history is what's going to lead us out of these issues, and we'll see. We'll definitely come with the proof and the evidence, but we're gonna dispel that notion. We're gonna make a myth out of that for sure. We're gonna pull up videos. I'm anxious to see what Chef and Corey are gonna come with, because I'm definitely gonna come with the psychiatrist was wilding all the way out. I can't
Sunday,
wait.
4 p.m.
Yep.
And does this get multi-streamed on Carnivorous Podcast channel?
Yeah, this is gonna be on all platforms. I think we might even stream this on Truth Savior's channel too.
Oh, that's what's up.
So But peace to the chat.
Hold on. Last fly I saw there was 4 dudes. I see 5 now. Where y'all getting on these people in coalition?
Hey, you in the coalition too, man. You just don't know.
Hold on. You gotta put a light skinned picture up there. Wait a minute now. That ain't me over there.
That's you in the that's you right behind the right under the eye, but between one of the eyes.
I ain't talking about I'm talking about the coalition picture. No.
Yeah, you right above the Edia and around the corner from Asians.
Not
hey,
the
we
old
love
man
y'all.
all the way on the left with no money. Hold on, with a few dollars in his hand.
Hey, you right next to the Edia and around the corner from Asians. Listen, we love y'all.
If you look at the left, older gentleman, he got a couple dollars, and it's a little dude staring at his cash. I don't appreciate.
Yeah, that's all the money they that's all the money they taking out the community. They ain't giving a damn thing. Hey, that's all the money they taking.
They extract
and the brothers
that's
at the top
extracted
throwing
wealth.
Up some kind of signs. I'm a little crazy about the signs, but they throw it up. But I get it. Mr. Coalition in the building. Shouts to Chef Corey, Carnivorous Podcast, Tri-Media Innovation. Shout to you, Roguish, bro. It is always a fun time. I just got to get my finger ready sometimes to with your colorful language. You didn't say Peckerwood tonight, which was disappointing, but I'm sure you'll say it the next time that we go live. Love y'all. I appreciate any support we can get, and I want y'all to really have a good weekend and try not to ruminate over the eggs and bacon you have tomorrow.
Be safe
just
in this
eat
weather
it.
out here. Definitely.